Hey, everybody, this is Eric.
And I'm Daryl.
Welcome to the auto podcast that wants to run up that hill and keeps making Kate Bush references.
Of course. On this episode of Throwing Wrenches,
we watched the Newport Hillclimb, and you're going to hear all about it.
Oh, and Gabe's here.
Yay!
Yeah. All that and more on this episode of Throwing Wrenches. Do we need some new theme music?
No, I think it's pretty great.
You like that?
No, I mean, ever since that day that you worked on in the basement by yourself, I mean, you did all that production. You're kind of like John Fogerty, making your own album with everything, right?
Yeah. My studio looks exactly like John Fogerty's.
Yeah.
And for the folks at home, John Fogerty was a very famous musician.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was lost.
Hey, date yourself. You know,
What is this?
if you're into hill climbs, you know who John Fogerty is. Trust me. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for listening, and to join in the fun of the show, just email us at info@thrownwrenches.com. We did get a couple emails in the last week, so that was super cool.
Yeah, actually, we did get a couple reviews as well, but we'll get into that in a moment. In the meantime, we want to just say thank you all for listening. Truly appreciate your support, and got some feedback on the last show. A few folks reached out and said they appreciated it, and the audio production was better. So whatever that means, I don't know.
Is this just a car ride with your wife? Is that how that went down?
You know, not only my wife, but my wife and my mother. And when they team up, which they have been doing a lot lately, it's kind of scary. So when they beat up on you together.
Are you like flayed out on the mat, and then like your wife says, "Tag me in"?
Pretty much.
And then next thing you know,
it's a cage match.
How do you get anything done?
Yeah, I don't know. Thankfully, they take off for weekend trips now. That's their new thing. So they just go away, and I babysit our dog. So there's that.
All right. Well, if you don't know about your host here, I'm going to run these down. Gabe, did you write this one about Daryl Scott?
I did.
Well, why don't you read it?
I will. He can rebuild a carb or a fuel pump from the 40s. He's on the ball, but he may miss a ball. He's Daryl Scott.
No, that's true.
I don't know if I get that.
True story.
Is there a story there? Did you miss a ball?
Maybe. It's hard to say.
It might have.
Like a ball cock thing?
No, there's check balls, vacuum check balls. Anyways, I'll get into it later in projects.
Okay.
But you know, there's allegedly I might have left something out. So for those who might not know, my co-host, he lives off a creek, but he's never up a creek. He's the ever resourceful breakfast taco champion of Tazewell County. He's Mr. Eric Stahl.
Breakfast tacos.
That's like your jam. Like every day. That's what your breakfast is?
Yes. Yeah, pretty much.
When did that start?
4 years ago.
And you don't get bored of it?
No. It's the perfect food. The tortilla's 100 calories. The egg is like 80 calories.
So what about the donuts you get at work? Because I see you posting pictures
That's
of
why
donuts.
I can eat that stuff, because I eat a nutritious breakfast every day, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, if you
Balance.
don't know Gabe Casey, the third wheel in this show, he's the only guy that could qualify at the hill climb. So we need him. Seriously. He has a car collection that made no sense until this last weekend. He's the youngest one here, and he has the oldest cars. He's Gabe Casey.
That is true. That's weird.
I don't know how that happened.
I don't know. It is weird.
I blame you, Daryl.
I don't.
No, because Daryl doesn't run in that scope of cars. I mean, you're...
But he tells me to buy them,
Well,
and then I listen.
he tells me to buy cars all the time, and what do?
You bought a couple. So it's
No,
fine.
Gabe made me buy that last one.
Really?
Yeah.
Opportunity knocks. Speaking of opportunity, if you would like an opportunity to buy a brand new or used Toyota or other vehicle, but let's talk about Toyotas. Forts Toyota of Pekin. You can find them on the web at Toyota-Pekin.com. Wow. Yeah, that's the address. Beautiful Radio City Drive off 29 there in North Pekin, 15 minutes from anywhere. Sales, service, you name it, they got it. And they got a detail department with some pretty cool signage. I just want to throw that out there. I might have some detail stickers on my truck that calls out their ability to.
They're all about the swag at Fort's Toyota.
No, they do a great job, and so full disclosure, Eric does work for Fort's Toyota of Pekin in a certain capacity.
Been there for a minute. I'm the service manager there. Started out in sales back in 1996.
Back in my day.
Yeah, it's frightening, right? Gabe, what year were you born?
84.
Okay, good.
They called them the Toyota horseless carriage back then.
Yeah, I know they did. None of our cars will qualify for a hill climb, by the way. So it's all too new. Even me.
What's kind of hot off the press is hot off the truck, the delivery truck. You had the Crown last time we talked, which is a brand new model that we're getting here.
So the Toyota dealer meeting was just a couple weeks ago in Las Vegas, and they show some of the new products in the Red Room to the owners and the Toyota reps and stuff like that. And not that I get any inside baseball information from those guys, but apparently the new 4Runner made an appearance there, and the new Tacoma. New Tacoma is not that big of a secret, but that new 4Runner, they're keeping you at arm's length from seeing it in real life, but it's going to start making the rounds. So
awesome! Yeah, I look forward to that. Check out
as
the
far as new
photos.
cars coming, there are, and I'm not sure. I mean, so say something. So if Mr. Ford hears this, maybe I'll have to blank out. This could be edited content for the show, but I do believe 2 GR Corollas are coming to the store within days. Right when this show's released, one of them might be on the lot.
Really? That'll be exciting.
Yes.
Heard a lot of people asking about that. So.
Yes, I can't wait to actually sit in one and drive one and see if I can ruin tires before a customer buys it.
Maybe. Because you also sell tires.
That's okay. There's a tire sale.
That's right. Tire sale.
Tire sale.
Toyota-Pekin.com. We thank Forts for their longtime support of this very show. And also thank you to the Patreon supporters who make this program possible, allow us to pay for our, domain registration, our equipment, our microphones, the cables.
The server fees. I tell you what, the server fees. The PHP support for version 7.4 that we're using extended because of our template. And, oh, my goodness.
Our WordPress engine.
Yes. Thank you, Patreon folks. You have no idea. Just that kind of stuff keeps me up at night, but I don't have to worry about it because folks contribute on the Patreon. And then when they do that, they get cool stuff. They get, like, extra pre-shows. I don't know if you know this, but before every episode, you get to hear us talk about, well, I don't know if you know anything about drywall, but if you didn't, you're going to know it after this last pre-show. Yeah, because I had 2 experts in the room for the drywall report.
That's like 1.25.
Now, that may sound like paint drying, so maybe that's not that much fun to you. But we also talked about a lot of other cool stuff, right?
Yeah, Swiss bank accounts. What else?
Layovers.
Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, a lot of Chick-fil-A talk. Panda Express. I dished on that pretty hard.
Pecan
I don't
sauce.
think they're not going to be our supporter anytime soon.
No, probably we will not get a sponsorship from them.
Yeah.
But that's fine. That's fine. If you are one of those folks who likes to leave comments or reviews, we definitely would take those. Not really sure. I think we want to make sure we get our terminology correct because I don't believe you can leave a comment on Apple Podcasts, but that's where you find us, right?
You can leave a review with commentary on Apple Podcasts.
Is it on
Spotify? You cannot leave. You can mark us with stars, and we have. I think on Spotify we have like 34. We have like a 4.9 rating or something like that.
Really?
So that means one person.
It was like, not for me.
Nope.
Let's find them.
Yeah.
We're not.
I wish I could find out who it was.
Dox them.
Yeah.
No, we're not for everybody. That's fine.
You don't have to go that hard to the paint.
No, I guess not. I guess that's not right. No, but so not iTunes. So if you say iTunes, we don't want to leave reviews there.
I don't
leave it on Apple Podcasts.
If you got
You're an Apple guy.
If you got an iPhone, you probably can leave a review. If you're using an Android thing, God knows what you can do. You probably have to go to Google Maps and leave a review.
Mail a review to Eric's house.
There you
please.
go. Do that.
Yeah,
you
nice
Android people in the Stone Age.
iPhone 1700.2 beta over there.
Yeah. I don't know if anybody notices or not. I take a lot of pictures, take a lot of videos.
Yeah.
Turns out okay on my iPhone. So
does it?
Yeah, it does.
Well, on my flip phone, it's still rendering.
Don't you have a jitterbug?
I do, with the big numbers. Yeah, it's pretty good. And actually crank it. It's got a crank on it. No, but thank you for the reviews. Also, would like a quick thank you and a shout out to my good friend Scott from back home years ago. Scott promised to leave a review in a timely fashion. I proceeded to rat him out on the last show, and we riffed on that.
I can't believe you two aren't better friends.
Well, the review finally did appear. He had some stuff. Life gets in the way, right?
So is there a review to be read? I'm not aware of this.
I have to go through my email. It's there somewhere.
Oh, okay.
I'm not preprepared for this program, but I will say, yes, there was a review that was made.
You can interrupt this show for the review. That's how strong
I feel about it.
Yes, absolutely.
It'll take him 23 minutes to find it.
Yeah,
I will.
That's okay. Thanks for listening. Thanks for sharing. And thanks for commenting.
Android.
Yeah. Also, iTunes Premium. If you want to just tune in, month to month, you can certainly sign up for iTunes Premium, and you can get some of those free shows, those premium shows that we share with the Patreon folks as well. So keep that in mind. Awesome. With that, let's move on to projects.
Do we have a theme song for that?
No.
All right.
I think I'm supposed to go, projects!
Is that Mr. Ed?
Oh. Is that a...
Yeah, so
that's not it.
Projects.
All right. So what's going on in your neck of the woods? We pulled up tonight, Gabe and myself, because we carpool because we care about our planet and our carbon footprint.
That's why you drove the Tundra, I'm sure.
Also, I'm lazy.
Yeah, Tundra, air conditioning on, full 9 yards.
Yeah.
600 pounds in the back just because. No, so we pulled up, and another beautiful opportunity to see the Celica, the black 96 Celica convertible, the 25th anniversary edition. Looking pretty good. What were you doing out in the driveway with
I had some Rockford Fosgate. I was trying to recreate 1989 with my Rockford Fosgate speakers and install them.
Those are a big deal back in the day.
Yeah, absolutely they were, man. I tell you, there wasn't a college dorm that didn't rock those things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that and some Sherwin Vegas, baby.
Sherwin Vegas, the purple ones? Yeah.
Yeah, so I was going to install some speakers, and you guys showed up at like 4:30, like it was 2 senior citizens at the Blue Plate Special.
I'm pretty sure it was closer to 6, but that's fine.
Yeah, it was like 5:20.
That's fine. The sun was still
it was
out.
close to 6.
No, it was. It was 5:30.
5:30.
No, he got to my house at
I
5:30.
barely sat down to take to post a picture of the taco ate for lunch, and
He
I was
hadn't
already
even caught up
interrupted.
on all his food posts, and we just showed up. How dare we? He got breakfast in. He was late on lunch. Oh, my gosh.
I'm looking at my stories. Leave me
No,
alone.
I hadn't
I didn't
posted
get
my
to
stories.
post dinner.
I didn't even get to let the horses out. People tune in for that stuff. You have no idea.
That's true.
Wait,
That's true.
do more people tune in to watch you let the horses out than they do the show?
There's certainly more commentary if I don't release.
Do we need metrics? Do we need analytics on this?
No. we
Sign
don't.
up for AWS.
No. You know, I never thought. Actually, I think one person mentioned I should have a whole page dedicated to letting the horses out. I probably have 10,000 followers, probably instantly.
You would.
Yeah.
You would, because people like horses, but this show's more about...
And they hate people.
Yeah. This show's more about horsepower, though.
There you go.
Oh, you got it. You got it.
See?
Yeah, look what he did there,
Thank you.
everybody. That's why you tune in for it.
That's exactly right.
The comedy stylings of Mr. Daryl Scott. He'll be live at the Jukebox Comedy Club this weekend.
So let me ask you this. That'd be fun. Open mic, just get yanked off the stage with a cane.
Yeah, the cane. They definitely do that these days.
Waka waka.
With your straw hat.
With the straw. That's so bad. No, so besides the Rockford Fosgates, are you doing like a full system in that Celica, or what are you doing?
No, I just, you know what? When you have a convertible car, the first thing you do is you blow up the speakers because you're trying to hear the music while you're driving with the top down, and that don't work. So the speakers were blown when I got the car in such an incredible fashion that just turning them up even an eighth, it sounds like a garbage disposal going off in the back seat. So.
with utensils in it?
Yes, yeah.
Sounds good.
It's terrible. So I bought those speakers. Crutchfield's amazing. You just put in what you want. Those Celicas, because they were ASC conversions, didn't have factory everything. And, man, Crutchfield, they should be a sponsor. Every time I've used them recently to do speakers in Aiden's cars, my car, they know exactly what we need for front and rear. They can tell you if it has the tweeters and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's so nice. And they automatically give you the wiring harness you need to connect to whatever kind of car it is. So if it's a Toyota, they have the wiring connectors and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
Pretty great.
So you're going to keep the stock head unit? Or
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I tell you what, I'm using an FM modulator, and I heard Gabe talking, and I don't know if it was in the pre-show or not, about buying...
It was in the mid-show. We weren't recording.
Oh, man, I thought we should record. All content is valuable content.
It goes into the Disney vault, only it's not Disney's vault.
Right. The FM modulator is great, except for when you're cruising and maybe you hit a radio station close to the channels and you get like a little fuzz. But so far the speakers have sucked so bad I haven't worried about it. But I could see where in the near future I might try and figure some hardwire system for Bluetooth or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think Bluetooth cuts in like that, does it?
No.
No. But all you can do with that is Bluetooth. Like, you can't play the radio.
I don't care. That's fine. Dude, the radio stinks. I'm sorry.
It's not good.
Aren't you on the radio almost every day?
Just Friday afternoons.
Friday afternoons, of course.
But do check in for those couple minutes, because those minutes are good radio.
They're good.
Yeah.
Do you have is there a cassette deck in that thing?
Yes. And a CD player. Single disc.
Nice.
So they make a Bluetooth cassette adapter now.
Oh,
Ooh.
I want the one with the wire.
Can
like
I move it
With
around?
the aux cord.
Can I like stick my finger in there and change the pitch of the MP3 like I could a cassette?
Change the sides.
Yeah.
No, I don't even know. But somebody in the Malays Motors group was saying, because they're older cars, they didn't want all the wires and all that. They didn't want to chop up the dash.
Yeah.
It's like 30 or 40, but it's not cheap.
Well, in the Supra, I changed out the radio with a double din and with touch screen only, which kind of sucked because knobs are passe.
Uh-huh.
I think even the aftermarket, we joke a lot and we talk on some of these news stories like Ford and these other companies are now figuring out knobs are necessary. But in aftermarket radios, knobs are like a premium. You're going to spend like an extra $100 or $200 for a knobbed radio. It's insane. So
what a world.
But when you have a car with 56,000 miles like the Celica, I really hate to change it. It looks so nice and clean.
I will say there's this purist part of me that when you see an aftermarket stereo in a car, you're like, and I'm done.
Yeah.
Like I just walk by it because I'm like, this sucks. It looks stupid. There's clean ways to do it, and the car stereo people, like all three of you that are listening to the show, are probably like, this guy sucks.
Yeah.
And I do. I'm terrible.
For more reasons than this.
Yeah, it's not just the stereo thing. But honestly, I wish you the best with that, and there's nothing better than a good set of speakers on a convertible, just cranked, ripping through the countryside. And then you have to do that awkward thing where you come into town and you stop, and you're still listening to like Radar Love on like 30, and then you're like, oh, I'm that guy, and you have to turn it down. Or worse, like Madonna's Lucky Star.
Ooh, that's a great one.
Or some other guilty pleasure you're like really rocking out to when no one's there.
Don't you listen to good music?
No.
Daryl doesn't. I truly believe he listens to hideous music all the time. That's why he has a subscription to SoundCloud or whatever the hell he listens to.
Yeah, I do, and I'm kind of ashamed. But you know what? That's what you're working on. What else is going on in the Stahl family garage? Because you not only have that, but you also have a camper that's some action.
He's rolling with the lead-ins. I love it. Yeah,
trying.
That's why we make show notes, people. It's a
swing and a miss,
well-rung machine here. Rung or run, whatever you want to say. Anyway, my little Riverside 166, the small little travel camper, took it down to the Newport Hillclimb this weekend, and then drove it home. I did this thing. I went online to Amazon, and I bought tire pressure monitors with a Bluetooth module. And they tell you the pressure, and they tell you the temperature of the wheels.
That's cool.
The passenger rear wheel was about 20 degrees hotter all the way home. I thought that's a little odd. At first, when we were driving there, I thought maybe it was the sun. Honestly, sun on one side of the car versus the other can change a lot of things. It can change air pressure, can change the temperature of the tire. And when you're talking about 5 or 7 degrees, it's not that much. But coming home, that other side was hot, and it was in the shade. So when I got home and I backed the trailer up to the house, it was the wheel was locked, and it made a hideous clanging noise. I have no idea what kind of brakes are on this thing. I've heard there's magnetic style. I know what drum brakes are, but I have not taken the wheel off to see what's behind this thing.
Not yet.
It could be a spindle. It could be the bearing was bad. I have no idea. So
you could have broke your axle.
Well, if I did, I mean, here's the thing: if that thing made it home with a blown bearing or something like that, wheel bearing, but yet it locked up in reverse. I mean, that thing had to be just minutes from falling off the car, right? So I think it's got to be brake related, but I don't know. And Angela's going to call Camping World and
see
no, I'll take the tire off and I'll spin it. But I probably should just drag it to Camping World and not screw with this, right?
Yeah, but then you'd probably have a breakdown or something. It would actually cause a fire. That's the thing that a lot of the smaller utility trailers, a lot of the smaller campers, I've heard nothing but horror stories about the quality of the bearings that come on those.
Yes.
And so the guys will upsize them. They'll upsize the axles just if they're going to actually like use it.
Yeah.
But this thing actually has some miles on it, though, right?
Well, it went up to Air Venture, Kenosha last year when I rented it on Outdoorsy. It's gone to Lake Bloomington, went to Springfield. But it hasn't gone a whole lot. We took it to San Cody, and then this trip to Indiana was the furthest it went this year.
A couple thousand, nothing crazy. So what do you do for those tire pressure gauge things? Do you just replace the valves or the cap?
It was cool. You just screw them on the top, and they automatically sync. And when they're on, actually, the unit I got has a solar-powered display on it, so I plugged it in for 20 minutes to charge up a little bit. It ran on solar on my dash the whole time, kept track of the tires. I can tell you when you own a trailer that's a single axle, there's nothing more stressful than worrying about one tire blowing out. Because if one tire blows on that thing's pitched into the ground, God knows what's rubbing on. And then I've also seen when you have one tire blow out like that, rips through the fender, busts through the cheap plywood floor.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all kinds of problems. So, and what's the first indicator you got a tire problem besides tire pressure? Heat. So if a tire starts getting super hot, even though the pressure fine, it might be a belt expanding or doing something wrong. It might be might be rolling faster or something. So it's nice to have all that data so that way I can kind of keep track of the tires.
Yeah.
I was a lot less stressed, that's for sure.
How much was the unit and what brand? Is this another Wish.com story?
Honest to
Why are
God,
you
so
laughing?
this is so funny because I hate to admit this, but I was talking to Pat Ford because he has this system called Tire Minder on the camper, the one that we used when we went out to Washington State this year.
Yeah.
And so I talked to Pat. Pat goes, get Tire Minder, never let me down. I'm like, okay, that's cool, I'll get Tire Minder. And I get onto Amazon, I look it up. Tire Minder is like $385 for their system. And I'm like, $385, I'm just going for one night.
Mm-hmm.
But the suggested or sponsored one with the solar and all that, it was $38.
So hold on, let me do some math.
There's no chance that one's bad, though.
No.
The data's good.
Was that a 90%
Yeah.
discount?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I looked at the sensors that Pat had on his Tire Minder system. They're pretty near the same thing. They got batteries in them. They screw on the top. Mm-hmm. Maybe his batteries last longer. I don't know. But
yeah, that's fine. You could throw out 8 of those and still be ahead.
Yeah.
I went to the Amazon reviews and looked it up, and there were a couple 4 stars and 3 stars. People said they were junk coming out of the box. The sensors didn't work. I never had any problems. It ran fine. Typical when you buy stuff from China. And this is so funny because in the pre-show I railed on China. So if you have a chance,
But now he loves them.
Yeah, no, but this is typical. I spent $38 on this piece. It served its function, but the menu system is not intuitive at all. Mm-hmm. The buttons are backwards. I mean, the power button is on the right when there's 2 other buttons to the left. I mean, and there was no markings on it. There was no like red or anything. And working through the menus made no sense whatsoever.
Yeah,
it was set for.
Were they in English?
Yeah, everything was set in metric when I got it.
Okay.
So it was set in bars and all these other things. I'm like, and the directions. I hate to read directions. So that's what I'm saying. Yeah. It's got to be intuitive. I don't want to read directions. It's got to walk me through it.
So TireMinder.com is where you need to go. No.
Yeah, it is. I think you should. Anyway, they have a much nicer display at Tire Minder. I know that from the one that Pat had in the camper.
It got the job done.
But all I'm going to say is I got work to do on the camper this winter, and but it worked out. It was fun. It's a little 16-footer. It's got a camper queen. I took a shower in that thing. My shoulders were rubbing the walls. Daryl, if I were to get you in that shower just to take a picture, it'd be the most comical thing I've ever. It is so tiny.
Well, that's my other podcast. Is
Daryl gets in small
Daryl's
showers.
camper shower photos. blogspot.com.
Yeah.
Now, the funny part about that is when you bought that, I think you were giving me the tour.
Yeah.
And I think I stepped in there, and I think, did you have to remove the kitchen table for me to get in?
Maybe. I don't know.
I think there was some, and I'm like, this looks nice, and I'm good.
I feel sorry. And so, I mean, I like being a bit diminutive in some ways, that I can get in. I can enjoy small things. It's like the Celica. I was test driving today with Ken, my technician. He's a big guy like you.
Yeah.
And him climbing into that thing was almost a bit of a 3-ring circus.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought, man, big and tall kind of sucks in some ways.
It's not optimal. Yeah. But you know what? The camper was fun. We'll talk more about the hill climb, obviously, but you guys, that was the second time you and Angela used your camper? I mean, you used it a couple times.
It only cost $20,000. I mean, so that's $10,000 a night at this point. We're if you dollar cost average.
You know what? It's cool to have because you can take it, and every place you go with it, it's an adventure, and it's got a full, all the full hookups and everything you need.
Yeah. Angela and I went to Rockville over the weekend, so we did some covered bridge stuff. Oh, I still haven't paid for that campground either. I need to do that too, dude. Are you a fugitive? Seriously. So I called the campground, Rockville Campground. It's a covered bridge campground, and I talked to a guy last Saturday. He goes, "Oh, we're closed. I'm a handyman. I just happened to answer the phone." He said, "Just call back during the middle of the week. Nobody's here. Just don't worry about it. If there's open space, just park wherever you want." I'm like, okay, no problem. I get to the campground on Saturday. I had to work Saturday morning. So Saturday afternoon, we get to the campground. They don't have a drop box. They don't have an envelope. They have no way for me to pay or to fill out a credit card slip or anything like that. Mm-hmm. I'm like, this is really strange. And so I'm like, in all my best intention, I'm like, yeah, I'll take care of it on Monday. Monday passed. Today's Tuesday. I totally forgot about it. I need to put an alarm on my phone so tomorrow I call these people because I feel terrible. And
I like how you're jumping through hoops to pay someone.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like that's their job.
Do you think that they're going to be able to take like a credit card over the phone, or I think you're going to have to Pony Express something?
Yeah. Angela
like
knows
on a horse.
Yeah,
too.
A Western Union telegram.
She knows how to write checks, and she knows how to put things in envelopes with stamps on them. So you know what? She can handle this.
All right.
She's qualified.
Good delegation.
Yeah.
But beautiful time, right?
Yeah, it was a good time.
Rockville's cool.
Yeah, Rockville's cool. Dude, I tell you what, found a great little restaurant there. Had a waffle breakfast sandwich. I think I told you guys all about the hill climb.
I saw pictures. That was a double Belgian waffle with eggs, bacon, all kinds of goodies in it. Yeah.
It was so good. It was $8.
McGriddle's better.
$8.50, man. On Saturday morning, I'd sent the other kid who was working with me to McDonald's. I said, "You fly, I'll buy." I gave him a $20 bill. I said, "Get me." It was like 11 o'clock. I said, "Just get me a spicy chicken, small fry, small drink." He comes back with something for himself. I got $1 and change.
Yep.
And that was the worst chicken sandwich I've ever had in my life.
Yeah. Welcome to 2023.
Yeah, it was awful. The fries were okay. The Coke was fine, but it was just like, that was $20. So to get that sandwich for $8.50 in Rockville and be completely satisfied, actually thrilled.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was grinning. I'm like, I can't believe I'm sharing this with my wife. There's so many other people I want to share this sandwich with right now, because she did not appreciate it.
No,
the way a foodie should.
What'd she get? Some pumpkin.
She got
spice?
biscuits and gravy.
Oh, you know what? That's
and
legit.
she had the leftovers the next day.
At the hill climb. Yeah.
Is that
Remember?
what she was eating?
Yeah, she busted out a little to-go
I
container.
thought she got those there.
So no, we got into a big argument about that, and then she said I poo-pooed her, and this should be pre-show material. Anyway, we'll get in. If you ever
Bring it on.
Peek behind the curtain.
Yes, if you ever want to, if you ever want marital advice from me on how not to poo-poo your wife, don't listen, because I do it all the time, apparently. So, anyway, SCC is coming up. Southern Cruiser Crawl. I'll be talking about that here next week, and just follow Forts Toyota on Instagram, and you'll see all the pictures and all the fun stuff going with that. Honest to God, Toyota Land Cruiser Association puts on some of the best events in the country, and one of them is Southern Cruiser Crawl in Hot Springs, Arkansas. It used to be Superlift Park. It's now called Hot Springs Off-Road Park. But when Land Cruiser Association's involved, it's all charity-driven. There's going to be probably a scholarship fund for the Live Like Lash Fund, and the Southern Cruiser Crawl people are run by, it's Louisiana Land Cruisers and the Cotton Land Cruisers. Those guys will be doing it all for charity, too. Tons of volunteers run around. Great food. Bands. The off-road park is so much fun. So, I haven't been there in 2 years. I am thrilled to go back. So it'll be great.
I should go. I got Tree Hugger 1.0. I'll just take that.
No, that's the truck I'm taking, and that's
you got a better one.
My moral dilemma. Do you take Tree Hugger 3 or do you take Tree Hugger 1?
We can take them both.
Yeah.
See who does better.
Well,
Tree Hugger 1.
I would like an employee from the dealership to go with me. I need to start dragging some.
Well, get me a job.
There you go. All right.
And he's already got a T-shirt.
Yeah,
so
true.
Multiple T-shirts and a hat and a truck.
Yeah. Just a quick recap. Tree Hugger 1, a 2010 Land Rover.
No.
I'm sorry. Oh, my God. 4Runner.
Way off.
Where am I going?
British. I mean, I love the British, but I wouldn't drive their cars.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
No,
it's a
Runs
2010.
on petrol. Put it in the boot.
It would be diesel. Anyways, 2010.
2010 4Runner with the. Do they call it the sport package? Jake is, again, we have one listener who's like Uber Toyota fan that I know just criticizes.
Just don't talk about Land Cruiser
every
series,
time I misspeak. Oh, no, I like doing that. I like misspeaking, so that way you can rip on my TikToks.
Oh, my gosh.
TikTok at Planet Stall, by the way. I do more TikToks now, I think, than Daryl does.
Yeah, he does. This is true.
Yeah.
And it's had a long, storied career.
Yeah,
many.
That truck has been to Southern Cruiser Crawl countless times. Has been to a ton of TLCA events, and it's got the battle scars to prove it. So
it's a good rig. Gabe and I took it to the hill climb last weekend. 213,000 miles, right?
It was at 217.
Still runs like a top.
It does.
Yeah.
Nice.
My kids love it. I leave the back window down. I pick them up from school. They climb up the ladder into the back window and then over into the seats. They think it's amazing.
Now, the reason Gabe is driving it is because Gabe's and this could be in your talk about your.
No,
projects.
it's fine. Go ahead. It's not my project. I'm not working on it.
Yeah. So Gabe had us start working on his FJ. Is that 62?
HJ61.
HJ61 diesel right-hand drive, and we're doing some work on that. Finally, I'm using it as a training tool. We're trunnion seals and front wheel bearings, and we're doing what a tie rod on an HJ is not a tie rod like you're used to. It's the whole friggin' Pitman arm and that whole assembly up there, which these young kids, honestly, they don't know anything about it.
Center links and all kinds of.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Well, and the funny thing about that is, so there's two tie rods. There's the one between the two.
An inner and outer. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you have the one that goes from Pitman across,
Yeah.
and then you have the two that are connected. And then I'm like talking to the technician, like, well, how do you sync those at the same time? And does the machine even know what you're doing? It's
you count the turns. So what you do is you bust them loose, and then you count how many revolutions.
Yeah.
At least roughly when you're doing them. and like your back. What do you call them?
Shade
tree mechanic.
Yeah.
You count how many revolutions to take them off. You put the new ones on at the same, and then you lock it down, and that'll get you to the alignment shop.
Yeah.
That's what they always say. The thing that sucks is then you get to the alignment shop and like, who put these on?
That's exactly what happens. Yeah.
Some poor schmuck is going to be spending time on that. But it looked like you showed some videos. Like, are they tapered? What is the... There's some stuff.
There's a cut in there, which is nice. It cleans the threads as you're pulling off the old ones. Because Gabe's is right-hand drive, my parts guy's got a bunch of left-hand drive stuff, and we've actually had to pull apart those tie rods and maybe take some of the ends and stuff and kind of swap some stuff around. It's been a little bit of Frankenstein. It's certainly a learning. It's one of the reasons I told Gabe when we were taking the job, I said, you were going to do a lot of that yourself. There was no doubt that you had. I mean, I think Rachel was probably getting frustrated with all the projects you got going on. So I said, let my guys work on it. I knew this was a great opportunity for Ken, my senior tech, to kind of show some of the younger guys how to do this stuff because they have to. I was talking to my boss the other day, and I used the analogy of a football field. I said, there's a football field of knowledge between the young guys and the new guys as far as working on a car like this. These cars, people come to our dealership expecting that we know everything about this stuff. But frankly, there's one or two guys who can work on these cars, and that's not going to work well in the next 10 years, right? So, and these cars aren't going away. As a matter of fact, more and more of them are coming to the United States, and people are wanting to work on them, right?
Yeah, those 60 series are hot, and it's going to be the 80 series. And it's always going to be great.
Yeah, so we have got to wrap our head around this stuff. We can't be that dealership that goes, yeah, we're a Toyota dealership, but we don't work on those because we don't have anybody trained. The owner loves them. I love them. I mean, we got to have guys on staff who can work on these things. So, and in order to do that, you have to make an effort to do it. Sorry.
No,
this is getting
really
out of the project. Well, but I'm saying is this is kind of getting outside of projects. But
no, but it's a project. It was my project. It became your project.
Yeah.
I'm very appreciative.
Thanks.
And yeah, and I don't care how long it takes because I got a great rig.
Well,
300 1.0 to drive in the
I
meantime.
threw him 1.0 because I figured that's the way to go. So.
It's closest to
what happened
loaner.
was I said I don't want a Prius or a RAV4 as a loaner car.
Mm-hmm.
I do not want that. So I said, just give me Tree Hugger. I'll be happy.
Dude, when I pulled up to your house,
here's
the
the keys.
And Harper's like hanging off the ladder off the back. I'm like, well, I think the kids are happy with the loaner car. So.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Good times.
All right, that's enough about me, guys. What's going on? And if I want to talk about drywall, we could do it right now. But we have a whole pre-show dedicated to your drywall project. So why don't you avoid that and tell us everything else going on in your garages?
I'll kick it to Gabe. Go for it.
I honestly, it's a joint project at this point, isn't it, Daryl?
Yeah.
I mean, I really haven't worked on anything on my own recently. I've taken off a carburetor twice, fuel pump once.
And this is on the Buick?
This is on a 1940 Buick, which I think we have a little renewed motivation after the hill climb, too, to try to see these old things drive. And we also worked on my Chrysler a little bit. We tried to get her fired up. What did we even do to that? Just some
tires. You
got the new tires on?
I got
That was a story too.
I got all kinds of tires bought and mounted.
Yeah. So, well, we talk about the disgruntled part, but
I got tires for the Buick. I bought the Buick. I got radials for the Buick, and then I've got my bias plies for the Chrysler. I had to wait 8 to 9 months last year. I had bought tires from Coker Tire, and they were back ordered.
Do they have a jingle?
Coker Tire, we suck.
We are not good anymore.
Yeah, no, we do not want Coker Tire as a sponsor.
Okay.
Anyways, they basically held me hostage. I emailed and called them after 6 months. I was like, hey, where are my tires? You said 2 months. And then they were like, oh, they're back ordered, but the price has gone up. So if you cancel, you're going to have to pay way more. I was like, okay, whatever, I'll wait. Finally got my tires after 9 months. And then I had to wait a few more months to get them, mounted. They sent me the wrong size tire. So I take them in. They're like, "Oh yeah, we can't mount these. These are literally the wrong size."
And they made that mistake at Coker.
Yeah, no, I didn't order them.
This wasn't like you clicked on the wrong thing or anything like that.
Nope,
okay.
I looked at the invoice and in the packing label and everything, and it was the right size.
And not even close. Like you couldn't even mount them and be like, they're a little wide. There was like 18 versus 19 or 19.
That was the difference. So the actual the front numbers, it was like a 5.25/5.50, which is weird, but old tires are weird, right? Mm-hmm. But it was the wrong rim diameter. So then I called them up. They're like, "Oh, we got them. We'll ship the new ones." I'm like, "Great. Here's the tire shop info. Take care of it." And they're like, "No, like you have to either get us the old ones, or you have to pay for the new ones, and then we'll give you a credit when we get the old ones back." And I'm like, "No, like I didn't make a mistake. You fix it." So I got pissed. I still have their tires in my garage, by the way.
Yeah?
Yeah, I just went to another place. I bought some like Lucas tires, which are a little more expensive, but not actually too much more.
Still like the old school, like bias reproduction.
Still bias ply, yeah. Black walls. The white walls are way too much money.
Yeah.
But amazing tire shop in East Peoria. They dismounted and mounted tires on the Buick and on a 27 Chrysler. Did a great job on both. Like, super friendly, cheap. They mounted all those Chrysler tires, $25 a tire. Like, you'd think it'd be more.
That's normally what we charge, yeah.
With a tire cage and like a 2-piece rim.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's what I'm saying.
That's a great deal.
Yeah, it is.
So I was super happy with them. Quick service and everything else. So it's actually off jack stands for the first time in like a year.
It looks good too with the black walls.
Yeah,
it looks good.
Yeah, it looks good. So, and I took off the top completely to like streamline it some more. And Daryl came over. We tried to get it fired up for a while, and we had it running for maybe like 12 seconds.
Yeah, it ran decent, and then all of a sudden it stopped running.
Yeah, I was messing with the acceleration and the retard on the ignition timing. Is that what that is?
Yeah, advanced retard, like the timing advancement.
Yeah.
So that thing has, and when we first got it fired up, what was it, a year ago, 2 years ago? I don't know.
Probably 2 years ago at this
Probably
point.
two.
Yeah.
It uses an old Stuart Warner vacuum tank, so there's no fuel pump in the car. A lot of cars of that era, there's nothing. The fuel system isn't pressurized. It's just a gravity, it's a vacuum feed that runs off vacuum on the engine to pull it in, and then it's an updraft carburetor. So the carburetor is mounted on the bottom, kind of hanging on the bottom of that intake.
When you see the old tractors, it's kind of a similar setup.
Yeah, very similar. And it's so there's all these things fighting against the thing running. And for whatever reason, I don't know if there's a vacuum leak or something. We'll figure it out. We rebuilt the carb. Everything as far as that goes is good to go. And the car does run really strong. But
when it runs.
Yeah. I don't know if we just need to fill that vacuum tank more and give it kind of a head start, especially after it's been sitting a while. You said once it runs and you kind of keep at it every so often, it's good to go.
Yeah, I think I ran it, when we ran it 2 years ago, I think I drove it 2 or 3 times within maybe like a 2-week period, and it started pretty easy after that first initial run. Yeah.
So it's just a little finicky. I mean, and that's one of those things, like every old car has a personality. It really does.
My camper's getting a personality.
There's something to it, right? There's some things you just get in, you fire it up, and you go, right?
Yeah.
Is it Aaron Rodgers? He just took it out for the first time this season. Blew his Achilles.
Just gone. And we're going to put it right back.
And Angela did say we need to name it, so I think maybe we do have a name now lined up. Rogers.
Pick one.
Discount, double check. No, I was excited when you got that thing. The Chrysler all back on all fours and those tires with the top taken off, and the beautiful 27 Chrysler Series 60.
Yep.
Roadster
Rumble. Yeah.
Beautiful car, and it actually looks super sleek and kind of very Art Deco. And the tires change the car, the whole look of the car.
Yeah. So
I'm excited to see that thing get going, and it's getting there.
We got to get it running for next year.
Yep.
Yeah. So one of the things, the Vintage Sports Car Club was one of the reasons I kind of got like into this type of thing with the hill climbs and all that. But I see the guys like pressing a bunch of levers, like they're pumping up their fuel system. Is that like super old cars?
Some, yeah. So some cars actually had a, prior to like the vacuum tanks, they would have a pressurized fuel system.
Okay.
And it would literally like be a bicycle pump, and you would pump pressure into the tank, and that's what would feed it.
Got it. And you probably have a gauge so you know what your fuel pressure was?
Sometimes, or the car would sputter and you just keep pumping. So the old car like races, like early Indy 500s and things like that, or Vanderbilt Cup races, even, and we can talk more about this like during the hill climb. There was a lot more to racing and keeping a car going than just set of goggles and a windscreen.
Oh yeah, so there was a lot of dynamic. It was multitasking, possibly. Yeah.
You'd often have the driver, and then you'd have what was called a mechanician, and that's the guy who'd be hanging on either the fender, seriously, hanging on the fender, or sitting on the passenger side, doing all this ancillary stuff to keep the thing running, or adjusting timing, or pumping the fuel system,
or
up.
Retarding the timing.
Yeah, all of that stuff, because it was really like a 2-person job. A lot of those people either got ground up by chain drive sprockets and stuff, or accidents or whatever. So there was, and this is all like really, really a neat part of history in a short window, where like the automobile became, this is now a thing. and we can not only just putter around town or go to the grocery store or go to church with it, but we can actually like use it to compete almost like thoroughbred racing. You talk about horseless carriages, you talk about the early onset of man versus machine. What people want to do right off the bat is to use it in a competitive manner. So, hey, here's a horse. I learned how to ride a horse. Now I'm going to go play polo with it.
Yeah.
You want to play with these new toys. And that's what people started doing with these old cars. So I feel like that's a part of history where the cars were so complicated and primitive that you needed more than one human being to operate them efficiently and quickly. I think it was really, really cool. And it was only a short window, probably 10 years that happened.
Okay. I just, like I said, I'd seen that but those cars seem to be a bit older overseas. I still haven't wrapped my head around the dynamic of this. We'll maybe talk a bit more about that in the regular stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
So the Buick ran and drove. Yeah, the 40 Buick. But we're going to do it again. Do the carburetor one more time. Maybe be good. We'll see what happens.
I had a question because we were talking about that fuel smell and I know it was all related to the fuel pump and the diaphragm kind of falling apart and all that.
Yeah.
But do they make retroactive charcoal canister type things for classic cars so they don't stink in your garage? Is there any reason for that type of stuff?
Not particularly. No. We're talking about Gabe's got a 1940 Buick Series 40.
Probably
convertible.
It's a special.
Yeah, it's a special convertible. Beautiful car purchased from a longtime collector. Really didn't drive it much.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, when you have old stuff that sits, the first thing that goes is all the rubber, all the fuel system stuff, right? Methanol eats all the rubber and kills it. So the fuel pump diaphragm was leaking quite a bit, and we rebuilt it. Got a nice.
And by we, he means Daryl rebuilt it. I took it off the car.
Yeah.
Daryl took it home, and out of the kindness of his heart, rebuilt it.
Well, that actually turned out really, really well. And shout out to my wife, Sarah, who helped. She helped me put that thing back together. I actually had that apart twice because it's a dual-action fuel pump and vacuum pump. So for every movement of that arm on the fuel pump...
is that like Kung Fu grip?
It is. It's kind of... There's multiple arms and links and things like that. So on every downstroke, it pulls vacuum, and that vacuum feeds the wipers to keep the wipers from dragging and stuff, because that's what was powered with it. It wasn't an electric motor. And then on the upstroke, it pulls and builds fuel pressure and pulls from the fuel tank. So it's kind of a neat design. But as far as fuel vapors, a lot of those early cars, all the way into like the 60s and 70s, it wasn't until sometime in the 60s where they started realizing like all that volatile compound that was vented to atmosphere, things like fuel vapor or unburned fuel, things like that, kind of not good for the environment. And they started to capture it and put emissions, California emissions. That became kind of a thing on.
We could put it in the ground.
Right, just carbon capture. We've really come a long way with great ideas. But no, the whole thing with that is no. A lot of those early cars, like Gabe's car, the 40 Buick, it's a vented fuel system. So if you seal that off and try to capture that stuff, then you actually create a vacuum.
Okay.
And so the fuel doesn't flow correctly.
Got
and
it.
There's all kinds of things downstream that's just not good. That's not to say you probably couldn't incorporate that, but you'd almost have to re-engineer the entire car.
Okay.
But the ugly truth of having an old car is when you park it in a garage after you run it for a while, it's going to smell a little gassy.
But it reeked before because it was just hemorrhaging gas out of the bottom of this engine. And that's why I started this thing up, and it was just dripping. I can't believe I didn't catch fire driving that thing before we rebuilt
I think it got worse. I don't think it was always that bad.
It did get worse, but it was bad.
Yeah. I think you would have noticed that, but yeah.
Where's the Buick now?
In my secondary garage that's under construction.
Undisclosed
Under a car
location.
cover.
Okay, when you say secondary, I know you were
The new
constructing.
garage.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
just checking.
Yeah. No, I don't have another garage.
Well, you had some. You said you were working on some drywall in another place. Some,
No.
during the drywall report.
I think everyone here has cars stored in undisclosed locations that are not our primary residence.
I used to have one at Daryl's house.
Yeah, it worked.
And at Eric's house, I had a vehicle.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
With 6 wheels.
You did. Is it still here?
No.
Okay.
It's outside my other buddy's garage. I just left it outside. In his Peoria.
Oh, I remember we dropped it off there.
It's just been sitting there.
That's fine.
Poor guy.
Does he listen to the show? Hey,
No, he doesn't even know I do it.
Okay.
Good. You can drop more stuff off.
Anyways.
All right.
So, yeah, basically rebuilt the carburetor. Fuel pump works great. The carburetor on Gabe's Buick leaves a little bit to be desired, so we pulled that back off. Actually, you just did that today, didn't you?
Yesterday, yeah.
Yeah.
Which it goes a lot quicker the second time.
Yeah, honestly,
yeah.
We'll whistle it out, and we'll figure out what's going on. I think I either misplaced a check ball, a little vacuum check ball, or something's jacked up with something else. So we'll figure it out. But third time's a charm. Second time's a charm. Whatever. Was it second?
Second.
Oh,
yeah.
Second. We got one more shot.
We're all good.
It's not like Eminem says you only got one shot. You got like 3.
Didn't Meatloaf have something to say about the third time? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think he did too. I think he did. I also wrote a song about Paradise by Dashboard Lights.
Yeah.
He's a car guy. Yeah. Anyways, what else are you working on?
I think that's pretty much it, isn't it?
The garage that encompasses everything?
Yeah, the garage. I ran a bunch of electrical, put in some more OSB board for like later storage upstairs before I close it all off with the drywall, and then tried to load a 10-foot piece of drywall 5/8 by myself. Not big enough.
Turns out they're heavy.
I'm just not big enough.
You know,
I couldn't even, and my wife made fun of me the other day. I can't even push the Buick in this relatively flat garage on my own because the Buick's too heavy. I can't get the thing moving. I slip too much.
Just put 80 psi in the tires; they'll roll.
Yeah.
So it's just a size factor, but it's all right.
One of the reasons I keep old tires around, I just keep like one old tire, and it's so I can put it in the front bumper of the Tundra and push my junk. Like that Cadillac, if I have that back
Got a little
out,
bungee set up on the grill.
Yeah.
Like the hill climb.
He's like a tugboat operator. You got a little hat you wear?
Sometimes I do make tugboat noises, but no, I tried pushing that a couple times by myself.
He does list a little sometimes.
Pushing boats around all day.
It's my wooden leg and penchant for rum. No, but I highly recommend that, especially if you find yourself by yourself and you need to move an inoperable vehicle. The rubber spare tire thing.
Or just wait and call a friend.
Almost always by myself.
Yeah.
You need more friends.
You got to be self-sufficient, though.
Everybody's here. Got like 1.5 others.
Does your Land Cruiser have a winch on it?
The one that's tore apart in my storage
Oh,
unit?
whatever. It's been there for like 3 weeks.
Oh, no. I have another Land Cruiser. I thought he was
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
I forget. Yeah. I think the operative word here is
how many cars
projects.
You got? Yeah.
Plural.
The HJ does have a PTO winch, but I sheared off the winch bolt trying to pull a bush, which was another incident. So I need to fix that. And that was at a friend's house.
Is that like a flywheel pin or something?
Yeah, he just he cuts off the head of a little like screwdriver.
Yeah,
like
shoves it in there. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you just stick it in there.
That works.
Yeah.
Okay.
Drill bits work too, right?
I don't know. I
Yeah.
haven't tried that. But yes, theoretically there's a winch on that.
Okay.
The other one that's tore down that I brought up, I shouldn't have, I guess. Oops, bad me. No winch.
Okay. You can always get one. You can always add
Oh,
one.
that's right. I forgot.
But I do have a big trolley now, a push trolley in my garage.
Nice. Is it the Republicans trolley?
No.
Oh, okay. They always look for a place to store theirs from the parades.
No, I'm talking about like a beam trolley.
Okay.
Like for pulling engines and stuff.
That's cool.
And I put one of my kids' slider toys on it so they could just cruise around.
Oh, that's right. I made a video of that the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last time I was there, his kids were both running on it. And I think there's video of Gabe riding on this.
Yes.
Which will not be
2-ton
put
trolley.
to public Facebook.
You don't think?
I don't think it has.
I
has
have
it?
I have a copy. I guess I could.
I know you do have a copy.
I could slow it down and put it to music. What would
Or
it be?
you could just leave it on your phone.
That's for our eyes only.
Yeah.
No, it's cool. Your stuff is cool, and I tell you what, it's a treat being able to see some of the stuff you have come together and see some progress, because you got a lot of irons in the fire, like we all do.
Way too many. It'll be so nice when at least a couple are running and driving versus like none.
It all takes too much time, though, doesn't it? That's the thing.
I have one running vehicle, the FJ Cruiser.
Okay.
That's it. Oh, I guess a couple motorcycles. But those
Yeah,
don't
your
really
bikes.
count. Yeah.
And you almost bought another bike, but we won't talk about that.
No.
It's fine. All right.
How
Cool.
about, yeah.
Daryl's
got some projects?
Honestly, I'm not working on anything.
Just worked on my stuff?
The Plymouth is done. Life is good.
It's not done. I need. There's some winter work. I'll send the. I got the 70 Plymouth Fury 3 convertible that is kind of back on the road ish. The vacuum brake power booster leaks, so I need to take that apart, send that out, and there's a place up in.
That's something you can't do yourself?
No, you have to split the whole thing. You almost need like some sort of press or something to pry the thing apart and then replace all the gaskets inside it.
I've got pullers.
Do you?
Yeah.
Sounds terrible. I'm just going to send it to a place. There's a shop up in the western suburbs that rebuilds them, and it's cheaper than sending them out to all the other places. So I'm just going to do that. And then there's what else do I have to do with that? Oh, I bought an electronic ignition. I bought an all-new distributor because I think the vacuum advance diaphragm is shot in it. So I'm going to eliminate the points. I don't have to worry about any of the points and stuff like that. A brand new electronic distributor from a company called High Rev 7500, which sounds like a fake company.
Yeah.
But it's actually a guy who's been building these things for years off the old Chrysler blueprints. And so even the Chrysler stuff that they make today is all made in China. It's all garbage.
3D printer.
Yeah, maybe.
Not Chinese stuff. I'm saying this guy's making them on a 3D printer. Yeah.
It's actually it's nice machined aluminum. It's really high quality stuff. And the electronic brain box, all the stuff that I need to do the conversion on it, it should make it maintenance free and make timing it a lot easier. I don't have to worry about stuff. So
cool.
That was like $160. Got that off eBay after a bunch of research. So I'll swap that in hopefully before winter, and then I'm just going to put it away and tuck it away for the wintertime. Also working on some window regulator stuff. One of the windows in the back didn't roll down, and I got it to roll down, took the panel off inside, greased everything up, and that got working. I did it rolled up and down twice and then didn't roll down anymore. So come to find out there's a little plastic follower that goes down the track as it's coming down the back as it's rolling down, and it's broke. And naturally, nobody reproduces them for the convertibles. That's the thing. So I went online. I'm like, hey, here's what's up. Here's what I need. Here's my car. And I had pictures of what I needed. And they're like, just do a Google search, you idiot. You add, blank, blank.
Because the internet sucks.
It's so bad. And seriously, like 15 responses and 13 of them were like, just look on eBay. And I'm like, I did.
Yeah.
They don't exist.
Yeah.
And come to find out, they don't for the convertibles. People reproduce them for hard tops, coupes and stuff like that. The back convertible ones are different. But our mutual friend Gabe and I know a guy in our car club, and he's just kind of a interesting guy, jack of all trades. He goes, well, I've got some corian from a countertop. You can just take the leftover chunk that I have here, go home, measure what you need, and bring it back here, and I'll put it in. We can mill it, drill it, router it, whatever you need. And it's almost like an acrylic.
Yeah,
you remember corian?
It's synthetic. Yeah,
yeah, it's almost like self-lubricating kind of. It'll hold up, and it's the piece he gave me is like the perfect thickness. So all I got to do is bring the old slide off, take it off the track, bring it over to his shop, and we'll play around with it. So,
that's cool.
Yeah, I think that's what we'll do.
Yeah.
So the back window on my 96 Celica convertible, the regulator is going bad. And because it's an ASC conversion, it's barely a Toyota part. I can't figure out where this part came from. But on my 97, the driver's side went bad. This 96, it's going bad as well. I feel like maybe in the future I should buy two of these parts.
Just do them both.
But I feel like it's like similar to your Plymouth story. It's like because it's convertible, it's a completely different ballgame.
You ever have those panels off and look at how those regulators are in there?
Oh yeah, when we did that 97 the first time.
About 31 rivets you got to drill out. Yeah. My mom's Cavaliers.
Mine's not that bad,
same
thankfully.
Thing. Yeah, those are ASC
Toyota didn't rivet a lot.
No.
Yeah, there's a lot of bolt. It's all bolted, but
well, yeah, the ASC converted like F bodies and the J body cars, they're a disaster. And so my folks' car, they get the motors get tired instead of playing around in that. We just help it along. Yeah. Just grab the window. Do you do that? Just kind of help it up
as a
and
matter
down?
of fact, I guide it for the regulator. Just kind of guide it when it goes back up. I know where it goes. But the problem is that's fine for me. But it's just like when Summer lost the sunroof on the Supra or the moonroof. If somebody else is driving the car,
crunch.
Yeah,
and then it's stuck down.
Yeah, exactly. So as long as Ange and I are driving, it's always perfect. But the minute somebody else gets in there, you put the top down and the window won't come back up.
Yeah. Also, it's raining, and I have to drive 100 miles home.
Yeah,
have you guys ever dropped a window into the door? Like, I had my old Saab, and it dropped in like a triangle point.
Yeah.
Clunk.
And I thought it was going to shatter. Oh, man.
Yeah.
That was stressful.
That's a sob story.
That's the worst, though. Seriously?
Womp, womp.
That's our favorite.
I would rather rebuild an entire engine than play around with, like, window regulators or, like, all those, like, the linkages inside the door.
Yeah, I want to wear, like, the shark protection gloves every time I get near those things. Yeah.
This is just healing. 2 weeks ago, I seriously sliced the ever-loving you-know-what out of my hand, getting that that window and regulator assembly out of
seriously?
the back of that Fury. Yeah, and it's a big car.
You need somebody with small hands to help you out.
Smell like cabbage.
Small hands.
No, that's why Daryl and I are a good team, because I do have very tiny hands, and I can get them in weird places.
You know what they say about small hands?
Yeah.
Small gloves.
Yeah, there you go.
I bring my own gloves to Gabe's house now when I work on stuff. So.
Yeah.
No, it's true.
And you can push my Buick around. Yeah. Perfect team.
It all works. Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of teamwork, making the dream work, we, the three of us collectively decided, a couple months ago?
Yeah. I mean...
So what was the origin of the whole Newport Hillclimb?
Okay, so I've been following this Instagram feed called the VSCC. It's the Vintage Sports Car Club, and it's over in where is it?
Somewhere in
England,
Leicester.
Yeah, but these guys are
Shireworth.
Yeah,
these guys are taking classic old cars and they're racing them on the track and they're racing them on hill climbs. And when I say hill climb, I'm talking about pasture hill climbs. It's like literally mud and grass, and there's people standing there in vintage tweed jackets.
With the guys in the back jumping up and down and giving traction.
Yeah.
Oh, those videos were great.
They're phenomenal. And I was watching this, I'm like, well, hey, this stuff's going on. I'm like, now, wait a second. Europe definitely doesn't have the market cornered on motorsports. There's got to be stuff like that going on here in the United
cool
States.
Stuff here?
Yeah, exactly. And, I mean, we do have a lot of cool stuff going on around here. Of course, Indianapolis we have one of the greatest speedways. We have SCCA racing around here. I go to rallies up in Wisconsin. The Champaign Sports Car Club does tons of cool stuff. We have great automotive events. So I certainly can't complain, but I'm like, hill climb, and I've heard of hill climbs. I think Ohio has like an SCCA sponsored hill climb. But when I started Googling it, I found Newport, Indiana, which I'm like, what is Newport, Indiana? And I started Googling and I started looking. Next thing I know, Newport, Indiana has a hill climb, and it's a historic hill climb with vintage cars. I'm like, oh, this looks really cool. And so I started talking to you guys over the last couple of months. But
I thought you sent a message and said, we're going, and sent us the link.
Something like that.
But I think we talked about it maybe a little bit, maybe off mic or something, because there's really nothing online. I mean, you think about like your car club, Daryl, and you talk about the guys that are in there. Nobody's savvy with social media. Nobody's doing TikTok. Nobody's doing this other stuff with these cars. Right. And so it was really hard to kind of Google and see what exactly goes on. When you went to their website, which is a very nice website, it makes it sound like it's as big as the Indianapolis 500. It talks about it's like one of the largest automotive events in the country. You're like, oh my God, how many people show up for this? But then I see the pictures of it, and I'm like, well, it doesn't look like that many people. How many people are there? So I told Jake, and we kind of, in our little message forum, we got Jake and you and me and Gabe, and I said, this is a reconnaissance mission. We're going to go check this thing out. We're going to kind of see what's going on. But we had no idea what to expect, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'd heard some older folks in the car club had been there years past. It's been going on since, 1963 or 61?
I tell you what, I got the little blurb from their website. You want me to read this?
Yeah, let's check it out. So Newport, Indiana, for those that aren't familiar, geographically, it's off of Indiana State Route 63, in between,
the Beef House and
north of Terre Haute, where Indiana State University is.
Yeah, exactly.
Close to Terre Haute, and then probably even with Champaign, Illinois, Danville, about that same middle part of the state.
Central western Indiana. It's actually like 2.5 hours from where we live here. So this is a little bit of the blurb from their website. The Newport Hillclimb likely began as an innocent challenge between two owners of those newfangled automobiles. While early autos had trouble making up the crest of a hill, soon topping the 140-foot hilltop became common. But still, a great struggle on the early gasoline engines. Then it wasn't just enough to top the hill, you had to be the fastest to climb it. The first hill climb was held in 1909 and organized by the businesses of Newport as a way to capitalize on the interest of climbing the hill. Hill climbing contests were becoming more commonplace, and then by 1915 the newness had worn off, and the board track and the other circular racing forms were becoming more popular. The financial returns and the businessmen shrank, as did the interest in holding the event, and in 1916, it never materialized again. So that's kind of the origin of it, and that's going back. I mean,
yeah.
I don't. Excuse my ignorance, but what's the first Ford car that's kind of a common Model A, Model T?
Model T, yeah. Model T would be the one that's kind of started it all.
What year is that?
Late 18. Well, I think officially was it 1904 or something like that. excuse my ignorance, I don't remember when the actual thing started. Ford was late 1800s, early 1900s when he first started putting cars out there. But honestly, this would have been, like when these original hill climbs were started, it was kind of this early test of, the machine, right? The newfangled machine that came out that replaced horses, which we already had mechanisms for things like competitive sports like, horse racing and polo and all kinds of other things that people did with horses. They wanted to probably do the same thing with cars. And there was no...
They might have raced horses up that hill for all we know. And I can only imagine a horse would be gassed by the time it got to that hill, right?
Yeah, it was a long... And kind of deceptive, too, when we were there. The more we kind of looked at it and talked to people and kind of saw it as the day changed and the shadows and stuff changed. It's actually a pretty steep hill, and it's a long one. So you get up to this point where you do this long, slow march up this hill, and then at the last minute it pitches further up. And it would have really, if you were running up the hill or even jogging, your calves would be burning. It's pretty serious.
Oh, I can't imagine. I can't imagine. So then it goes on to say that the Newport Volunteer Fire Department rekindled the event as the Antique Hill Climb in 1963 and in 1964. But again, the financial returns were just short of manpower, and they ended after 2 years. And then in 1967, with the urging of a number of antique car enthusiasts and car clubs, the Newport Lions Club was formed, and the Hill Climb was reborn as its major fundraiser. The first event was held in 1968. Soon after, the first Sunday of October was designated as race day. Early festivals began on Thursday or Wednesday with nightly activities before settling into the current 3-day format. And this is where it gets a little hairy because we couldn't understand what was going on. It's one of the top 20 largest festivals in Indiana. Okay, I mean, there's a lot of festivals around Illinois, so I know what that is. But it attracts more than 100,000 visitors each year in Vermilion County seat with a population of barely 550 on a busy day.
Wow. So that little
it was
small
sleepy.
Town.
It was sleepy.
It's a tiny little town. There's no doubt. I don't know that 100,000 people are, but I told you because Angela and I got down there the night before. We took the camper down to Rockville and then saw some covered bridges. Apparently this part of Indiana is like famous for 50 covered bridges all within like 20 miles. So we did a little bit of the covered bridge thing, drove around, did the husband-wife thing. That was very nice. See? And then Angela did the husband-wife thing the next day while entertaining herself with the car thing. But
it all worked.
We got down there and I was shocked. It was like the Spoon River Drive had like erupted all over this place. So I could see where maybe the 100,000 number gets kind of compiled in. Maybe it isn't just an automotive event. Maybe it's kind of a social event. It's kind of like the flea market, the covered bridge fest, all that stuff kind of all happens all this one time, right?
Yeah, there were a lot of people that weren't even watching the hill climb that were just sitting at the car show. Yeah. As we walked in after the hill climb had started, tons of people just went to the car show and were hanging out.
Yeah. It was running the whole time. And yeah, you're right. There were people like, oh, there's a hill
everywhere.
Climb. Yeah. But they were there for the carnival food. Tons of that.
Oh, yeah. More than I thought. It's kind of like
more than you thought possible.
It was like a disproportionate amount of food.
It's like a state fair level, right?
That's why. Yeah, my wife and I lived in Indiana for almost 4 years, and whenever they had any kind of festival, there was food. And I'm not saying there's food. There's not food at some of these other festivals here in Illinois, but people like to eat down there.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I had to really watch myself eating a deep fried Oreos or deep fried this or that or something like that.
Elephant ears.
Yeah. Got plenty of cookies.
Or my favorite, when you see a funnel cake with an ice cream sundae on top, and people are just chowing on that. Like
I saw a lot of those, and I was half tempted. Oh yeah, absolutely, no doubt about it.
Like 6,000 calorie sundae, seems like a good idea.
Yeah. So the 100,000 number seemed. I mean, maybe when it was super popular.
They said they had good numbers this year.
It's the weirdest damn thing. Okay, so I think that's the official read on what the event is.
Yeah.
We got down there the night before. I kind of got the lay of the land, understood where parking was at and everything. And you guys showed up on Sunday. The build-up for the first couple days is kind of like time trials, and I think I have no idea how that part works. I didn't get the mechanism of that, but I got there the night before, so I got to see the food, I got to see the parking, all that, scout that out. But on Sunday, that is race day. And it goes by different classes. And the rules are, I mean, there's like 6 rules here.
Yeah.
Must be 1942 or older car or truck.
Mm-hmm. Must
be internal combustion. So we can't do an EV. Mm-hmm. Must be American-made stock production vehicle, which there was a Fiat there. There were non-American-made cars there. I'm sure there were.
Which one?
That little black and red thing that I took a video of.
It was an American Austin. So it was
it was an American Austin.
They, for a period of time,
I didn't even know there was such a thing.
Yeah, for a period of time, they actually it's an Austin, basically like an Austin 7, but they sold them and made them here.
Oh.
And it was kind of like an early little micro car.
I got to be honest with you, that one threw me for a loop the whole day. I couldn't figure out how the rules let that vehicle be in there.
Yeah, that's an oddball. And
it's
actually,
cool.
It was neat to see. I wish we got
you got there late. Yeah,
I think they were just finishing their runs.
Okay,
but yeah.
It must also have no modifications and no penalty points, which I don't know what penalty points are. Discontinued makes are defined as those brands whose company ceased production prior to 1970. While the company can go up to 1970, the car itself can only go up to 1955.
So you can run a car that's up to the year 1955, but the company had to go under before 70.
Otherwise, it has to be a 1942 or older.
Correct.
Yeah. So your big three, or your popular stuff, 42 pre-war, right? Unless it was like what they consider an orphan car. So your AMCs, your Packards, your Studebakers, your Hudsons, your
AMC ended before 70?
Well, I'm sorry, not AMC. You're right. Like Nash's, Nash's are.
Studebaker?
Right.
Is that what we saw running a lot?
We saw a lot of Studebakers.
Tons of Studebakers. So, yeah.
So would that be under the orphan?
That would.
Yes.
Okay.
So their last year was, I think, 66. And they have a huge following in Indiana because they were made in South Bend.
Yeah, that makes sense why there was a bunch of them.
Tons.
So Ange and I got there about 10:30 that morning. We set up some seats. First we went to one side of kind of the running lane and thought we found a good spot in the shade, but then we realized we couldn't see the finish line. So we crossed over and got a better spot. It was in the shade in the morning, but in the afternoon it turned out to be a pretty sunny spot. But it gave us a good spot to see the start of the car, and then kind of the race. The car was like ramping up, and then you could see the finish line up the hill.
It was perfect because if you just sit in one spot and watch them leave, it's okay, but I like them where you see them building steam right before. That's that midpoint, kind of like mid-track.
We could hear the gear jamming all day. That was fun.
Yeah, the misshifts.
Misshifts for days. But it's kind of like when you go to a drag racing drag strip.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. If you sit a little further down, you can get to that point where you see the car working its hardest, the driver working its hardest, because they're trying to figure out, like, okay, is this going to happen or not? And it's really, at that point, if the car is going to have a good time or not. Because it's either coming out of the gate too slow, or they miss the shift, or there's some sort of mechanical breakdown that happens.
Yes.
I love that old guy that was sitting next to us who was like a veteran.
Yeah.
And he would just shake his head, or he'd go, oh, like you knew how good the run was going just by watching him.
But there was like one car that you could tell that they were messing with the retarding of the time, or they were trying to move it back and forth, and the car was like sputtering and spit. And I looked at the guy next to me. Actually, the guy beside me, he had formerly raced, and the guys that were sitting next to you had raced. And so the guy next to me goes, he'll make it. Don't worry about him. I'm like, really? That car sounds like crap. But the spectators, they're all pretty savvy. They all seem to be competitors, or they've been doing this for a while as far as...
a lot of seasoned people.
I think it's close-knit.
Yeah. And the other fun part is the guy next to, I think, me and Gabe. He's like, we'll look for you guys here next year. Like,
he said wave when you go up the hill next year, because Daryl's like, oh, maybe we'll run something up.
Yeah.
Big ticket to punch.
Yeah,
right
it is. It is.
Okay, but those guys, it was now, and this is endemic of the whole hobby, what those guys said to you.
Yeah.
They said, we have a car, we've been working on it, but some of the guys just, they can't get around and they can't work on it like they used to.
Yeah.
They didn't have help loading and getting it down there. That's what they said.
Yeah.
So
They basically said the guys are too old that are doing
they're
work
too
on
old.
the car.
Well, and I was looking at so we all took pictures, we all took video and stuff, and I was showing Sarah, who stayed home. She definitely wants to go next year. She's stoked, right? She likes cars. And she's looking at it, and she's like, wow. I'm like, what? She's like, in the foreground, it's all, like, walkers and wheelchairs. And, I mean, it's one of those things where the hobby is aging. And maybe at one point it was 100,000 spectators at their peak. But I guarantee you in 5 years it's probably not going to be that.
But they said they had great numbers this year. And there were some of the drivers that were like third generation.
I was just
or
going to
people
say that, yes.
saying, I'm driving in somebody's honor. Wives were driving husbands' cars who had died to keep it going. It was cool.
See at the top of the hill. I mean, that tells you how much that's seeped in the community. So I don't want to jump ahead because I tell you what, the biggest thing I took from this, and I told Daryl this while we were sitting there, and it wasn't until I'd been there for probably an hour or two. I think about all the car events we go to here in Central Illinois, and I'm sure any listeners out there experience the exact same thing. We go to Cars and Coffee. We go to the local car show on July 4th. We do all these things where guys pull out their chairs, they sit down behind the car, and they pop the hood, and they give you a little banner that tells you about the car.
Yeah.
And then they're polishing the car, and they're showing off. These people in Indiana, and there's a lot of the people from the Montezuma, Rockville, Newport area that are racing out there. Their car culture is not to sit by their car and show off their car.
Right.
Their culture there is to drive the car. Mm-hmm. And I will say this: people put it down on the track. It wasn't just like, oh, this is a joyride, this is historical. There were a few cars or people, but you can't do that going up that hill. You've got to give this car all the mustard it's got to get up the hill, right?
Yeah.
So,
I was really impressed with the flathead Ford V8 class that was running later on, where there were a lot of younger drivers, a lot of younger, I don't know if it was, kids, grandkids, whatever, and a lot of females, a lot of young women giving it hell. And that was exciting to see. The Model Ts are fun, and I really like the old stuff. I really do.
There's a lot of them. They really... there's more of those suckers out there than I would have thought.
Tons. There was like a 1908 one-cylinder brush car that just barely made it up the hill. That stuff is fun. It's neat for what it is. But then you get this other group that's like, okay, this is a legit competition. And I honestly, do we know, like, what is there prize money, or is it just like a trophy? I
think it's just trophies and dash plaques and their stickers,
Okay.
There's probably an overall best speed, but there's so many different classes from what it looked like.
Drop like $100,000 on a car and build it.
But in knowing what you guys are going through, like on Gabe's Buick and the Chrysler, to get a car ready just to drive it to a car show is an accomplishment itself, and to make it reliable enough to spend a season doing car shows. But to actually make it so that you're going to gun it up this hill, you're going to take it to the car show, and oh, by the way, we saw a couple cars overheat, just sitting and idling, waiting to get to the race, to the race segment. Right. I mean, it'd be one thing to have a car as a museum piece. These people don't think of their cars as museum pieces. They think of it as actually fun. I don't know. There's something about racing. I think maybe, I know this from SCCA. Some people would rather get out and race a car and have fun and go sit at a car show. And I think this is like the best combination of both. But we're talking about cars that are 1942s or older. And that's even more complicated, right?
I think so.
I mean, they're less complicated. We just don't know about them. I think can't find parts.
Well, but that's the complication. It's not necessarily working on the car, but if you start spewing oil over the place, or like one guy needed a 6-volt fuel pump or something like that.
But they found the fuel pump and the guy ran. That's what's amazing. Because all the parts are so simplistic and so interchangeable back then that it's kind of crazy.
Some guy was talking in our car club the other night. He went there years ago with his brothers, and they had a great time, enjoyed it, and they went there several years.
Oh, you've had a meeting since this?
Yeah,
okay, all right.
Yeah, last night.
Last night.
And
sorry, I don't go. Okay. Oh, you sound like maybe you were there. Okay. All right. I'm a little jealous, but I'm over it.
You can join. Actually, they're looking for more members.
Yeah, you're more than welcome.
Yeah. Please come.
They'll put me in a position of authority.
You'll be the president.
Seriously, we need officers. But he was talking about, it was like a guy with
minimal commitment.
Was it a Accord or an Auburn or some other like high end 30s car, right? And he's like a fresh restoration. This guy spent tons of money on it. And he was in there just giving it hell and dropped the transmission on the thing. Just exploded it in front of everybody. And it was one of those where he had enough money where he was just like, but everybody applauded and it was fine. But like for one of us to do that, be like, and I just ruined a $100,000 car, And it's going to take years to replace whatever it is.
Maybe.
But none of us own $100,000 cars.
That's the benefit, right? All of us here could go and find a $6,000 to $8,000 beater.
I looked, yeah.
And
It's not as easy as you think, though.
No, it's not. And you're going to have to anything you get that's old.
It's not. I have two. You guys could get one. Come on.
I mean, but you're going to have to go through it. You're
Yeah.
going to have to make it quasi-reliable.
Yeah, that's the problem.
And there is some tech inspection, right? So those guys actually do when you register. You have to go get it inspected, much like you guys go through SCCA.
Yeah,
or if
absolutely.
You go to Union Grove, you're going to drag race your Subaru WRX. Somebody's going to get in there and make sure the brakes work. Everything's safe. Although safety did kind of come up, like the barricades. Spectators. Let's talk about spectators.
You had a friend who made some comment about those barricades would stop nothing.
Yeah,
and so
it's basically like the main street of Newport.
Yeah,
some of those cars are made of wood. It might stop those.
Well, here's the thing. I really do believe. So, like the Studebakers were the '50s cars that people were giving hell, and there were some Hudsons, and there was some of those Ford trucks. They were actually pretty brisk too. Mm-hmm. If those cars crash in the barricade, it's like a baseball game. You're not paying attention. You're going to be whacked.
Game over.
Yeah, exactly. And there were a lot of people not paying attention because that launch zone. I guess if you had a blown tire or something like that, you could, or a caliper lockup, but. We're talking about cars with drum brakes, right?
Or in most cases, mechanical brakes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so realistically, a brake is never going to lock up and pull you off the road on those things. It just won't brake in a straight line, right? It's not going to...
It depends on how... Let's see.
I'd be more worried about a spindle falling off or a tire blowing or something like that,
right.
I guess. And that could drag you towards the audience. But even then... Some of those cars were only going like 15, 20 miles an hour by the time they passed us, right?
Yeah, the Model Ts, I wouldn't worry too much.
But their horns didn't half work half the time.
Ugh, pathetic Ford horn.
But I will
You're
say...
over there judging their horns.
I was.
He was, yeah.
I was like,
Gabe.
pathetic.
Yeah.
But mine's better.
The Studebakers, I think they had the best... You could really tell those guys, those engines were working because they had great exhaust sounds. And they were moving pretty fast. And I think this is why this event still kind of works, because we're talking about 1942s or something from 1955 or older, because... You can't have that kind of speed. It can't be a drag strip, and that's why there's no modified cars. And so on paper, this sounds kind of lame. I mean, honestly, if you're a car enthusiast, I want to see some burnouts, I want to see some smoke shows.
Right.
That's not what this is about.
Right.
This is about showing what a stock car could do from back in the day. If you have appreciation for that, you'll enjoy it. But I don't think we were unsafe, but I could see where...
There are a couple times where I'm like, this could go badly.
Okay,
Yeah.
there was a guy in a chain-driven car that took off so hard
Dude,
he dropped the chain.
Best, this is the best
Come
story.
on, that was amazing.
Was that the Brush?
Yeah.
The
It might have-
1908 or whatever?
Yeah.
So something well over 100 years old. Dude launches it like pro stock style.
Oh yeah.
And all of a sudden the thing...
And he does it every year because the guy next to me said, "Oh, they'll put the chain back on."
It's like he did that last year.
Yeah,
he's a repeat offender.
yeah.
Yeah, so it blew the chain off the sprockets.
Yeah, just
And-
like loose chain, rear-wheel drive,
Yeah.
just fell off.
He got back up and running and finished the race somehow. But
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
no, I'll tell you what. Anybody,
It took about a minute and a half for him to get there. Yeah.
if you're into anything antique cars, right? People always talk about like either the Pomona swap meet out there in California or the big Hershey AACA meet in Pennsylvania, which is coming up, I think, next weekend, right? Iola, Wisconsin's another big one. This should be on your bucket list. It's cheap. What was it? $10
To park.
A
And
car,
there was
not a
nothing.
person.
There was no charge to be at the event.
No. So you get in there, you pay $10 to park, and it's just this giant field and
Ange and I
firefighters.
were like running with our chairs after we parked the car, like, "Oh, we gotta get a spot. We gotta get a spot."
Yeah.
And there was tons of great spots.
Yeah. Super cool. Lots of every year they also raffle an antique car. And
Did you guys get called? Did we win?
No, I looked it up. Some chick won it.
Yeah, I forget her name, but it was a cool name.
It's right
Okay.
here. Yeah, it is a cool name, actually. And she looks really happy in it. Her name is Luann Crawford from Bainbridge, Indiana. Hello.
Good for her.
Yeah, good for Luann.
And the 38 Plymouth was
Now let's check in
I'm
to
glad
Car
we didn't
Trader,
win
see
the
if it's for
38
sale.
Plymouth.
Yeah, it was
It was meh.
okay. It was okay.
Yeah.
I tell you what.
It didn't spark joy.
That's the first time I saw those Plymouth logos on one of these cars. I saw the sails and everything, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I told Daryl, I'm looking at him like, Plymouth used to be such a noble brand before the 80s.
Yeah. Oh, how the mighty have fallen.
Yeah, exactly. They really loved that brand. I mean, that brand looked cool, so they owned it.
Yeah, it was, and that's the other part too. This hill climb is great because being a car guy and going to all the shows ever since I was a kid, you kind of get familiar with Model A's. You get familiar with, like, the 20s, 30s, 40 Ford coupes, hot rods. Everybody kind of has the cars that everyone gravitates to. This thing had like Nashes, Marmons, Whippets, brushes.
Daryl was geeking out, and I think this is the other thing about it, because you took yourself outside the Peoria area for car shows. I mean, obviously you grew up a lot in Chicago too, so you've seen a lot of the same cars. And we go to Peoria Cars and Coffee. We see all this, when some guy shows up with a different car, like, oh, what's that? What's that? We haven't seen that one for the last 4 years straight, right?
Yeah.
Taking yourself out of Central Illinois and going to a car show, even 2.5 hours away. We saw so many cars. We're like, wow, never seen one of these, never seen one of these.
Yeah, get this on your list. If you haven't been to this, Newport, Indiana, NewportHillclimb.com, something like that. Great website, and there's nothing about 2024 yet.
First weekend of October, apparently. That's the rule, right?
First Sunday in October, they run up the hill.
Yeah. And we also, just a word to the wise, I mean, I consider the three of us very intelligent human beings.
Well, that's an overstatement. Go on.
Yeah. Pat yourself on the
Eastern
back.
Time. Newport, Indiana is on Eastern Time,
so complicated.
Make sure you don't get, as Gabe said.
We argued. Daryl and I argued for 10 minutes on the car ride over. We were like, but like, how long are we going to be in the car? And then what time are you going to show up? And I will say, Daryl was right.
Not really, though. I mean, it's from where we are. It was a 2.5 hour ish.
I never understood from before we left. I lost before we started the game.
I kept saying it was a 3 hour trip. It's like 2 hours 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But the 3 hours is from the time change.
Yeah.
So Gabe said we got time zoned, which we did almost, but it all worked out. So
yeah.
Bottom line, just synchronize your calendars or clocks.
No, it sucks, but you gain that hour when you come home, so it's nice. Well, the nice thing is,
but it takes 2 hours. 2.5 hours.
No, the nice thing actually, when you go to Western Indiana like that, when the sun will be going down here at 8 o'clock, it's like 9 o'clock. Or I mean, you're getting the longest end of the time zone, so it's kind of nice in some ways.
It is.
Yeah.
I got home and Sarah's like, "Well, you're home early." I'm like,
that's what Rachel said too. She's like, "I didn't expect you home so soon." I'm like, "What?" Because when we text them, we were coming. Our phone was still on old time, I think.
Probably.
In
and well,
Indiana.
Eric called us from the future.
Yeah.
I don't know how that happened. He's like, "Hey, did you guys leave yet?" We're like, "We're already like halfway home, dude."
Yeah.
It was funny.
Marty, I'm calling you from the future.
Now, a couple things we didn't see, and what I'd like to hear. I heard there was a Stanley steamer. That's one of the things that they run. So the steam cars are part of this event,
like
but that
carpet?
that's so
I'm sorry.
Yeah, show your age, young man.
Sure, yeah.
Like the big yellow van in the driveway with the tubes.
Right.
Stanley
Yes, Stanley Steamer's out there cleaning the cars for free, Daryl.
Sure.
No, but some of the steam cars will show up, and they'll get these going up there, which to me seems insane to watch a steam car go all the way up that track.
I'll bet you they rip.
Didn't they say one of them took like an hour?
The Stanley Steamer, he said, took literally 20 minutes to warm up, just to get it going. And
to get it going.
Yeah, and
That's
then
to build the
and then they
pressure.
all just pretty much have to stand back and let it go because you don't have time to be screwing with it at that point. So, which I think would be cool. That probably happens earlier in the week, and then the motorcycle racing. They have vintage
We probably
motorcycles,
should have stayed,
which
but
was
it's fine.
Sunday evening. But that could have literally been as late as 7 o'clock at night. So
Yeah, we almost stayed long enough, but there were like a lot of modified tees they looked really cool.
but
And they
still,
were lackluster.
Yeah.
well, because they got to
Plus we were
be
sunburned.
mostly stock. I mean, you could paint them all kinds of cool colors.
Well, no, they could soup them up in the engines a bit.
Oh,
They had
really?
an original block. They could do like some modifications. They had like limits on frame length, so some of them had longer, some of them chopped them. But they were 2 speeds, and some of them had the co-pilot that was like doing stuff, which was cool. You
that's
know,
cool.
Somebody on the side running some stuff, but they went about like 10, 12 mile an hour, and then they shifted into second gear, and they were like, woo, and then they just like tried to build the steam to go up, and they're 2 speeds. That was it.
Yeah.
That was all you got. So I don't know.
Yeah.
And it was late, and we'd been baking in the sun.
We were.
Although I
pretty-
got a nice tan.
Dude,
I didn't burn.
for October 1st.
Yeah, you look
I was
good.
quite happy to get a little sun for the last the first
Yeah.
day of October.
I
I'll take it.
went into work and people yesterday. People were like, what happened? Did you fall asleep in the backyard? You out drinking all weekend?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
No, I was at an antique car hill climb. They're like, yeah, I don't care. That's
Dude, everybody looked at me like I was insane. Like, what was that all about? It looked kind of cool. And I told them, and they kind of like walk away shaking their head.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you? Why?
You watch old cars run up a hill? Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
All right. So it's fine. Bye.
Yeah. I want to circle back to the fact that
Are we weird? Are we just
weird? We're good weird.
Yeah.
There can be bad weird. We're good weird.
Yeah. I circle back to the fact that these people appreciate cars in a different way than we do here. And it really took me by surprise. And I imagine if you go to other parts of the world, other parts of the country, you would see other different types of car shows. Mm-hmm. You get so used to doing things one way where you live or what you see around you, and then you kind of open yourselves up. And what was the thing we talked about when we were there? Like, we need to do something with a road rally. We need to do more automotive events where people actually drive their cars. Didn't we all kind of say that?
Yeah, absolutely. Use the car to do something fun, as opposed to a static display.
Sitting.
Yeah. I mean, it's like looking at taxidermied fish.
Yeah.
That's cool. You caught that one time.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
What else are you doing?
Yeah.
That's the part. There's stuff that we saw that was well over 100 years old, still doing what they were designed to do, in a way that nobody cared if they blew them up or not. That's the other part about it.
Yeah.
Where, you can baby and I'm not saying go out and beat on your 100-year-old car. That's kind of dumb. But drive it like people drove it back then.
Yeah, I mean, the temptation. You have to drive the car reasonably hard to make that hill anyway. So if you sign up for this, you have to know.
Yeah.
There's a chance you're coming back on a hook, right?
And even if you do, that guy with that old Chevy truck that was like, this was a barn find with 7,000 miles on it, blah, blah, blah. We heard him in the paddock area revving it, and I'm like, the bearings are clanking, and, I mean, the things,
it sounded like hell when it went up the hill.
It was going to go, I was waiting for that guy to put shrapnel in the crowd. Mm-hmm. And he didn't. He flogged it, and I guarantee you he'll be back there next year doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And that's what's fun about him. And if it blows up, it's like Rocky IV. If he dies.
And it was really cool to see the heritage, too. Like, one guy, it was his 55th year up the hill.
Nuts. Yeah.
And then, like, other people were third generation. Cars had heritage. Families had heritage. Like, that's neat.
Yeah, it is.
We don't have any of that around here.
No. We have Corvettes and New Balance shoes and lawn chairs.
Well, to be fair, those guys were racing out the Vonnie's Dome last weekend.
Were they really?
Yeah, on Saturday morning, yeah. So I give them credit.
No offense. I know we got some Corvette owners. It's all in good fun.
As long as you don't wear jean shorts with the New Balances, you're okay.
But you probably do. But anyway.
Maybe. Yeah. I'll take a 63 split window any day of the week. That would be a fun car to run.
Yeah.
But
and it kind of sucks knowing that they're never going to allow other cars in this.
What are you thinking? The cutoff should be
it'd be cool if it progressed every year and the car stayed. But I think in order to keep it at a level of sanity for speed,
safe.
This is what you have to do, right?
I'm just thinking anything older than mid 50s the speed, the power would start getting to a point where it could be, a little dangerous. So I respect him for keeping it real that way, but it's the challenge. It's like, okay, I want to do that. Now I have to go find something old.
Exactly.
Older.
Let's just fix my stuff. We can all go have fun.
There you go.
Let's do that.
Okay.
That'll be a goal. Let's set that as a goal next year.
All right.
Which one would you run? Because you have two that are eligible.
Why not both?
The Buick does qualify. What year is it?
40.
Yeah, nice. You get to two.
And the kids could be in the back waving at everybody.
In either one.
See, I saw a lot of people, there was one person on the fire truck standing up in the back recording the whole thing.
There's a fire truck with 7 people on it that barely made it up.
It didn't. It got pushed.
They got pushed,
Oh, my.
Yeah,
I would kick half of that people off.
Yeah, I was saying this when I was watching this because I was at the Motor Mayhem at the Dragon Dome, and we talked about that in the last show, but there were guys hanging out of the trucks during the smoke shows, and there were people hanging out of the backs of these vehicles and recording everything going up. There's a certain level of safety standard, SCCA, where you have to have fixed mount cameras, people can't be hanging out of the car. These cars don't go that fast, but all it takes one person to fall out or something like that, and next thing you know, it's kind of spoiled, so they got to be careful.
One or two guys driving.
Yeah, the guy driving with the camera out and he's driving like something really old. You need both your hands.
Yeah, I thought that whole thing was kind of dumb. Just focus on. There's somebody who's recording it. Yeah. If you really want to go see a compilation or something I'm sure you can get that.
Just get a suction cup dash, or something to hold your camera and just put it on the glass. Yeah.
Now the guy in the bowler hat with the cigar, though,
dude, that guy was money, and I did not.
I don't
my video
care
going
if he was
for that.
distracted.
No, I didn't. I thought I recorded him too.
And he went twice.
He did.
I did. Yeah. I was gone for the second one.
Yeah.
Guy dressed like. What is it, Oliver Hardy?
Yeah.
Giant bowler hat, stogie.
Yeah. I love it.
And that was not common. A lot of people didn't do the theme, but there were a couple people who were dressed up to it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was fun. So, I think what we took away from that is want to go back next year.
Yep. Probably every year.
And honestly, because I thought about this when we were there, and I said to Angela, I said, Rachel and your wife would. Yeah, I forgot your wife's name. God, Sarah. Anyway, so
Amelia Earhart.
Rachel and Sarah would. I think they could find stuff to do if they want. Didn't want to hang out there. If you want to look at the tacky Spoon River stuff, you can. But if you want to go into like Rockville and see like antique stores, and you want to go covered bridges, I mean, you could spend a couple days there, make a little event out of it, then watch car racing, and get the heck out of there like we did. So
I guess what's the town south of there? Is it Clinton? There's some. It's like 10 minutes south of there that has like hotels and things like that.
I don't know, but Rockville's where we were at. But
Rockville's very pretty, like you said. It's kind of a covered bridges of Madison County or whatever. It's a nice place.
Of Rockville or Pike County, I think Park County, whatever it's called.
Streep.
Yeah, Clint Eastwood.
It's the Meryl Streep of Indiana County.
Creeping around out there with a camera.
Bathtub. Anyways, we'll post some pictures up with this post here, but definitely check out Throwing Wrenches on Facebook and Planet Stall on Instagram. Got some great 4K video from that iPhone.
Yeah.
As much as I like to make fun of iPhones, some great quality. So the slow-mo, right?
Yeah,
like 4K
slow-mo. Did you like the Primus one that I did?
Jerry was a race car driver. The guy's in like a Model T. Yeah. That
was the guy who popped the chain. That was the... it
was the brush?
Yeah, that was the brush.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure that brush has never been played to Primus ever. So
yeah, I started playing it this morning. I was eating cereal, getting ready for work. I'm like, oh, yeah, he's rocking out to some Primus. Yeah. Good stuff.
All right. So, after all this was done, what did I do? I sat on the couch and I pulled up cars possibly for racing up the hill.
Really?
Why would I do that?
Is this part of our segment?
I think. Yeah. I think.
Right. Well, we can do that. We can get the theme song queued up. So this is a special edition of Cars of the Week.
It is for me. I don't know if you guys embrace the theme or not, but in my mind, if I'm going to go to a hill climb, well, I definitely want to have a car that could go up the hill climb, right? Mm-hmm. And so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go to Classic Car Trader, and I'm going to put in the criteria of cars that could possibly go up the hill. But I got really, really bored with all the Model Ts and the Model As.
Yep.
So where
Not your jam?
No. So where do I find myself? Well, I'm back in Europe looking at convertibles. It wasn't on Autobello, but I was definitely on Classic Car Trader, I think is where I found this one. That's Cars of the Week, folks.
Oh, it's shiny.
Yeah, this is where we scheme and we dream of cars that we would buy and we would own. Actually, Gabe just buys what he wants, but I dream about it.
True.
Yeah, my car of the week. Maybe if I'm lucky, this MB convertible I got, this Mercedes-Benz convertible, is built in the United States, but I seriously doubt it. According to the listing, it's extremely rare. It's a 1935 Mercedes-Benz 200 Sport Roadster with the it's incredibly rare, and it's an excellent car wearing an older restoration, red paint and interior. It's got a black soft top and a rumble seat. It's got no rust. It's been sitting for quite some time. Would benefit from mechanical refurbishing and minor cosmetics. Only a few of these cars last or exist in the world. It's a wonderful discovery and exciting opportunity to own a rare and unique pre-war Mercedes-Benz 200 Roadster.
How much, Eric?
Well, this is Cars of the Week. This is possibly the most...
What are they asking?
If you were to compile my last 20 Cars of the Week...
All cheaper than this combined?
Yes, I think that's possible.
Wait, is that an extra decibel? No.
I don't see a comma. It's hard to read that.
It's 129,000 clams for this bad boy from Queens, New York. Yes.
Why is it... Okay.
That seems a little overpriced, to be honest.
Hold on. So the picture is from the listing, I assume.
Yes.
And it looks like it was taken in an alley behind a building. It just looks a little suspect, but...
It's a cool car. It's got the yellow rims, it's got the big wide white walls on it. It's red paint. Got those. I love the bumper. I love the headlight holder across the front grille of it. That
That's
holding
very
the three bulbs. I love it.
It's got the 3 headlights.
Yeah,
like Total Recall.
It is like Total Recall.
What you see.
The funny part about
Wish I had
this
more hands.
is it looks like a kit car, but it's not.
And you know what? Every one of these trader websites, Auto Trader and all those, are just filled with those Mercedes-Benz kit cars.
Like the Gazelles.
Yeah, 35 or 55 kit cars, wherever they are. And they are all over the place. And they want $20,000 for those things. It's insane.
Yeah, those used to be cheap, kind of like goofy little parade cars.
Yeah.
And now they're kind of legit. This is the real deal. And you do not see, I mean, for obvious reasons, a lot of late 30s, early 40s German cars.
Weird.
Especially Mercedes here stateside. And the fact that this thing has survived, it's in really nice shape, and it's a nice original car. Maybe it's worth $129,500.
Might be.
What would you sell to offset this?
My house.
Kidney? Maybe both?
A couple kidneys. Yeah. You don't need
Maybe
kidneys.
Aiden?
Yeah, exactly.
It's not a bad price when you consider how many looks and components.
It'd be nice to see Aiden driving down the driveway dragging a trash can beside it. Just you're scratching the paint. I don't care. I'm not walking.
Get him out there to start crank starting it for you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to the dump and take some scrap metal.
Yeah.
Now, beautiful car.
Yeah,
beautiful car.
Cool car, and it wouldn't qualify for the hill climb, so it was absolutely pointless. When I picked it up and showed it to my wife, because I thought, it's a red convertible. She might get some vision of owning a car like this. I didn't even tell her the price. Didn't even say it was Mercedes. I said, "What do you think about that?" She was hard poo-poo on that thing. She was
really.
Yeah, I think maybe because I made fun of her biscuits and gravy that earlier that day, I got paybacks on Sunday night.
All right, so
I would have thought she'd say, "Just go buy it, Eric. Be happy."
So I want to just.
Surprising.
She did that once. That's how we ended up with a '96 Celica. So.
Yeah.
I mean, that turned out okay.
Yeah.
One and done.
Yep.
So let's get back to the biscuits and gravy. Why did you poo-poo her biscuits and gravy?
We forgot to take them back to the camper to put them in the fridge when we were at breakfast. She got a half order, which is still plenty of food at Aaron's in Rockville, and I said, "You should just throw them in the trash," because she was going to put them in her backpack. She's like, "I'll eat them for lunch." I'm like, they'll just be a mess. You should just throw them away.
Wait, leftover warm, or actually it would be that cold at that point.
Yeah.
Leftover cold biscuits and gravy. She was going to eat this for lunch.
Yeah,
She did. I watched her.
she did because to prove a point. Because
How'd her stomach do?
she goes, you just poo-pooed me. You didn't listen to what I said. I said it's not worth putting in your backpack. Just throw them in the trash. And so I was being dismissive, which I guess I just if it's my way or the highway, I just think that I'm the smarter.
I get that too.
Did she get sick?
No, she gets sick, but what happened was the bag ripped open while she was walking around the backpack, so she had gravy all over her backpack, and which I knew was going to happen. I'm like,
yeah, that sounds terrible.
They give you a styrofoam container with a clamshell, where you fold it over, and next thing you know, you get your biscuits and gravy.
Just stuff that in a backpack?
In a bag, like a Walmart bag.
Oh, okay.
But the next thing you know, it got sideways, the bag got crumpled, whatever, and
it was a bad scene.
This has been Biscuits of the Week.
And I told her, she was eating it as we were sitting there beside the hill climb. I said, "You're going to eat that just to spite me." She goes, "Oh, hell yeah, I am." So she did. She ate the whole thing, and then she went and got some, then she got some pretzel bites.
Out. I thought, I thought she got that there because there was a place doing breakfast stuff.
No,
including biscuits and gravy. Okay,
no,
all right,
no.
Well,
there's the rest of the story.
Nobody there was selling spite, Daryl.
They're all stocked up here.
Yeah. All right. So I spent $129,000. Beat me. Who's got me beat?
Well, I'll just go because I threw
You're
some
next,
stuff up there. Yeah, just not necessarily for any particular reason, but I also kind of got into a vintage vibe here, and I liked the flathead Fords. I liked what I saw there. And at the hill climb, they were all pretty decent contenders. And I always liked the lines of the 40 Ford, but I liked the lines of the 39 Mercury a little bit more. 39 was the first year for Mercury, borrowed heavily from Ford, but kind of a little more upscale, a little more, I don't know, just sleek.
Should I save my questions for the end of the car, or should I? I wonder what the relationship is between Mercury and Ford at this time?
So at this point, Mercury was just kind of like a stepping stone in between Ford and Lincoln. So General Motors had all kinds of a car for what they called a car for every purse and purpose, right? You had the lowly Chevrolet. If you stepped up, you got a little more money. You got promoted. You bought a Pontiac or an Oldsmobile. You finally got.
They were all in the General Motors stable,
right?
And so Mercury was in the Ford stable at this time.
Ford, yes, okay. Exactly. So Ford didn't have anything to link in between, unlike Buick and things like that. Buick, Cadillac, they didn't have any stepping stone in between their kind of entry level and their premium. So Mercury filled that void, and it grew and grew and grew, and eventually it kind of had its own, unique look, brand, feel. And they did for the most part, but really a 39 Mercury was like a 40 Ford. It really was. Flathead V8, sleek lines, a little less trim, I think it's a pure design, very pretty. And I have a whole bunch of ads from when these came out in '39. I've got a nice literature collection at home, and there's a lot of weird alien stuff. So like in the '40s,
Wait, what?
Flying saucers became a thing, right? Like '40s and '50s. Okay,
They kind of took off with that motif.
before all this, though, in the late '30s, it was like cartoony Flash Gordon alien kind of people from other planets, like Rocketeer type stuff going on. So a lot of their early ads when Mercury came out in '39 is these like rocket men bringing this car from another planet Mercury, here to planet Earth. And I always liked the motif. I like the design. Anyways, after seeing those Fords running with those flatheads, these things had the same motor, same drivetrain. They're kind of quick. And a lot of hot rodders would take a Mercury 8 and put it in like a Model A Roadster or something like that, make a little hot rod, okay? And I like the lines of this thing. It's a tan Mercury 8 coupe. And unfortunately, it just recently sold, but it was a dealership in Washington State somewhere. And I won't go through the whole listing, but really, really nice car. Don't know what it was sold for.
Yeah, I want to know what the price. I want to know how it compares to my $129,000.
If I had to put a price on it, I'd say somewhere $50,000 to $60,000.
Oh, wow.
That's what I would say.
Okay.
They're very popular, as pricey. But nice cars, that's what I would pick. It's probably about half of what you paid, but I think it's the wiser, more economical choice for cars of the world.
Yeah, but it's not convertible, so I wouldn't drive it.
I guess.
I do like the split front windshield.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Yeah, this guy's got a Columbia overdrive, which means it can go faster.
With 2-speed, so that's a 3-speed then with overdrive?
So you'd have a 3-speed trans, but then a 2-speed overdrive, so you basically have a high and low. So you basically almost have a 6-speed.
Oh, okay.
So
like a semi-truck.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And a lot of the cars we saw at the Hillclimb, some of those did have either a Columbia 2-speed or a Ruxel 2-speed.
Okay.
So it just multiplies your gear ratios and gives you a lot more. But the trouble is, gas was cheap, and there wasn't an interstate system. So there wasn't a need to go 65 miles an hour back then.
Right.
It was kind of a novelty. But the folks that did have it, I mean, you could kind of tear up the asphalt. It was good times.
So how comparable is this V8 to my Buick's V8?
So this thing would have not put out as much horsepower. This
That's
is
what I like to hear.
95 horse. I think your Buick was closer to 110, something like that. And frankly, this is the valves were in the block in this thing. Yours was a valve in head, much like a modern, an overhead valve motor. So your Buick was a lot further ahead of the game, and frankly, held up a lot better. The early Ford V8s had the flatheads had casting problems because of how they were cast. The casting technology wasn't that great, so there would be like casting sand still inside the blocks after just a lot of
garbage.
Yeah, very, very, very primitive
Garbage.
So your Buick was a premium motor car, Gabe. I'll say that.
Now, Daryl,
I'm just asking because we're racing all these up the hill next year, right?
Yeah.
I think so.
So do you have the Miami Vice theme?
I don't. Next show? Should I get that?
Absolutely. Anytime anytime Gabe's going to show up, can we get that going?
Yeah, I think so. Well, you can queue it up on your phone. It's
For
Bluetooth.
what?
Oh,
You
yeah, I
got
can.
Bluetooth?
Oh, yeah. You just keep talking.
We're changing gears here. We're going from 1939.
He is just now getting the joke. I love it.
We're gonna set the Wayback Machine for something a little bit newer, because one of the members of our group here tonight decided to go with a very, I don't want to say, what would you say, Southern Florida theme?
So it's bad because I have already picked something similar, I think, at one point. But
you did.
I did, but this one's just literally on my Facebook watch list.
Okay.
Like, I've been watching it. It's close. It's in Peoria or something.
Okay.
And I don't need an old car.
You don't?
No, because I have two. So I can get something a little newer than you guys.
Okay. All right.
So what I would rather get is this 1985 Porsche 911 Carrera Targa. Who
Beautiful.
doesn't want that Targa?
Crockett and Tubbs want it.
Oh, my
It's probably one. It's probably got a
goodness.
kilo of Coke in the hood.
You know what? That saved me a bunch of money.
It would. It would knock something off the price.
No, this was listed a week ago in Peoria. 85 Porsche 911. Come on.
Oh, I think this car is raced to SCCA.
They want $47,000, which isn't terrible. It's got 62,000 miles, a little under.
Target's got the removable top, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And like it's a little beat, like the seat's a little torn up, but this is like a legitimate car that I could buy and own. And I do kind of want it. Will I get it? No, right? That's why it's the car of the week.
So what color is it? Gray? Is it?
Yeah, it's a gray.
Like a gunmetal? Okay.
Yeah, gunmetal gray. It's got nice black rims. It's got the whale tail. I like the whale tail.
You don't think that's a bit excessive?
You know who the owner of this is?
No, you know.
Sean Benet.
Do you know him?
Sean Benet, the Benet's own...
Sean Benet Ramsey?
No, Benet's own Cawthon Mare.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So maybe it has a good service history.
Well, it probably does.
That would be the import dealer servicer in our area that's not affiliated.
Exactly.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
I did not know that.
Yep. So...
Huh. Yeah, there's actually... Okay, so I'm looking at...
So maybe I should actually buy this.
Look at the seller's other listings, by the way. There's some cool stuff up there, including an old S-Class.
So they're just liquidating.
Well,
no, it's probably, I think they sell used cars at Cawthon Mare, so...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Porsches and Mercedes.
A lot
Very
of German
nice.
stuff. So that era, what do they call that? The accordion bumper 911s. Those are the ones that I think probably all of us grew up with. That's what, when we think of a Porsche, that's what we think of, the 911.
Yeah.
It's that 80s.
It's the classic 911, not like
Right.
the 90s, early 2000s 911 that's all like bubbly. Yeah.
And the whale tail, I'm not a huge Porsche guy. Wasn't that just for like the turbos or the 930s or something like
I
that?
honestly have no idea, but I love it.
It's just obnoxious.
Yeah. It's the right kind of obnoxious.
Yeah.
It's the feather in the cap.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Those have you ever driven a 911, Gabe?
No, I've never driven any Porsche.
No?
No. And I was thinking about this today because literally I picked up my kids like 3 days this week in school, and I drive something different every day. Like I've driven the Fort's 4Runner. I've driven the 71 BMW with the sidecar. Today I picked him up in my buddy's Rivian. Like
Nice.
I just drive all these weird vehicles, but there's a lot of stuff I haven't driven. Do you remember Gone in 60 Seconds?
Yeah.
Oh, never heard of it.
Yeah. Well, there's the guy in it that's like, they're like, what does he do? And like, oh, he does this, he does this. This guy can drive anything, and this guy gets sandwiches. Ha, ha, ha. But the guy's like, who can drive anything. I used to think that was me. Like back in my 20s, like, man, I could drive anything.
Yeah.
And now that I'm almost 40, I'm like, man, I couldn't drive anything back then. Like I couldn't drive, like EVs weren't even a thing. I couldn't drive old like floor shifts.
Yeah.
I couldn't drive like on the tree.
Yeah.
I didn't know any of that.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So I would love to drive a Porsche. I'd love to experience it. Maybe it's different.
Check it off the list.
Yeah.
Now, I had an uncle who, well, I still have an uncle. My uncle Don used to be into 911s, and he had several over the years. And as a kid, I always thought they were kind of cool and, unobtainable, kind of like a rich person's car or whatever. Mm-hmm. But realistically, he was buying them back when they were just another cool, almost like if you were buying an old Corvette. They really weren't that crazy. And he had several. He'd buy them, fix them up, repair, put a motor in them, whatever, and sell them. Have fun for a few years with it. And I'll tell you what, I think that era of 911 it's not quite into the stratosphere yet. But
No.
if you're going to get one, now's the time to get one.
I agree.
Actually, 25 years ago was the time to get one.
They were high then, though, too. I mean, comparatively speaking to modern cars. But I think that 40,000 number doesn't sound so bad versus what new cars are going for, right?
Not at all. And even for that era of 911, 40K, that ain't bad.
All right, I'm buying a Porsche.
Okay. Deal. When you get to pick it up?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, wow. Actually, yeah, he hesitated. He flinched, so we know that maybe there's a little pressure.
We gotta find a little money first, maybe.
Yeah,
See,
maybe we could finish a project or two.
That might be fun.
But you know what the problem is you can buy something and think it's not that big of a project, and then you're like, well, but I should do this. And then Daryl has a line. What's the line? It's, do you want to do it quick or do you want to do it right? Do you get that from your dad?
Sometimes.
My grandfather said something like that. If you're gonna do something, do it right.
And do it once and do it right.
Yeah.
Or why do it? Why waste
Measure
time?
twice, cut once.
And I hated it. I still hate it when people say that. It's kind of like read the instruction manual.
Yeah.
Did you Google it?
Yeah.
It's the modern did you Google it?
Oh, it goes right to your brain. You're like, oh, that sucks. And then you're like, no, I didn't. It's because they're right. No, 911, I think that's great. I think you should get a Mercedes. Why you guys are always getting German stuff? What's going on?
I don't know. There's
BMWs.
Well, no, I found that cool Toyota last time, and everybody mocked me. But
Yeah, that weird
Was
Corolla
it
2.
cool?
That Corolla 2 was a little little weird.
Yeah, they are. And everybody laughs and has a good time with them.
It was very unique, but no, I like your picks this week. And I'll tell you what, we here in the Midwest, it's early October when we're recording this show. I'm not saying winter is going to be here soon, but it's going to be here soon.
Oh, next weekend. I heard
winter is coming.
Yeah. So that's your annual reminder to get the snowblowers out and ready.
Oh, man, here we go.
Get your stable or whatever your Marvel Mystery Oil, whatever you put your winter storage stuff in. But I think it's get the things out that you want to for one last hurrah, and then let's start planning for next year. Let's be amazing.
Yeah. Let's
do amazing stuff next year.
I like it. Well, I think let's in like we did this year, we kind of branched out. Let's not. There's been. I talked to Regan last year about going up to the supercar show. There's like a super club that gets together. I'm like, I kept saying, I'm going to take super up. I'm going to take super up there. I think next year, what the hell? Take it up there and, spend a day and hang out and just kind of check it out and see what's going on. It's so easy to kind of stay in our bubble here in Central Illinois.
Yeah.
We have a serious bubble in Central Illinois. And it's a 2.5-hour drive in all directions to get away from it. So it gets real comfy, but I'm going to try and push myself.
Burst our bubbles? Is that what you're trying
to? I'll be in my garage if you need me.
It's the Truman Show is all I'm saying.
Do.
Yeah, Gabe's got a nice garage now. I think we should just all move in there and hang out there all the time.
Ish.
It'll be fun.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it with the trolley and all that stuff. I just got to find something to pull out of a car and lift that's super heavy, so we got to work on that.
Just lift the front end of the car.
There you go.
Don't you got to put a trans in that one Celica? Never mind.
I know a shop. I'll probably be okay.
All right.
Yeah. So
it's about that time?
Yeah, it's about that time. I had a great time this weekend. I'm glad you guys came. I've been juked before where people say they're going to come and do things, and there was still a slight trepidation by Thursday or Friday that
it wasn't going to happen.
I may be down in Newport by myself. But you know what? After I got there on Saturday afternoon, I was like, if they don't show up, I don't care. But,
Gabe and Daryl who?
Yeah, but honestly, I love that you guys were on the road at like 7 a.m. on Sunday and there to join us. It was a
fun.
Good time.
Yeah.
And we, got a real good bag of beef jerky.
Yeah, $18 for 10 ounce of beef jerky.
Was it Gator or what was it?
No, it was pretty good.
Hot and spicy, and that's all I ate all day. I had fair food at the race, and I ate that whole bag of beef jerky for breakfast and dinner.
And nobody ended up in the hospital.
Can't beat that.
I don't have a colon.
All right. On that lovely note.
Yeah, we'll have some links to the Newport Hillclimb so you can click on some of that stuff. Make sure you follow Throwing Wrenches on TikTok, and then Planet Stall on TikTok and Instagram as well, because got a couple videos and stuff going on there, so definitely check it out. And, hey, if you want to join us next year or you have any questions about it, certainly reach out, but it is definitely worth your time once a year. It only happens first week of October, so
Gabe, where can people find garage updates on your latest project?
If I post anything, at Spark Fuel Air.
On Instagram?
Instagram.
Yeah.
I don't TikTok.
You should.
Sorry.
It's fine.
China.
All right.
Fine, China.
I guess.
See ya.